kind of
Yeah.
impromptu, 10 o'clock my time, 11 o'clock your time, Drew? Is it 11 p.m. your time?
It is 11. I had to make
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
10
it is.
o'clock
It
my
is
time. Probably go a couple hours, maybe. Just see where the night takes us. Uh, Drew and I are just gonna hang out with you guys. We're just gonna talk and just relax and do whatever, man. If you guys want to join in and ask us questions or listen or whatever you guys want to do.
you, you see the chat
Hopefully,
this time?
do you see the chat?
I do. Do you see it?
I do not.
You gotta be
I
kidding
don't
me.
understand that.
Did you reboot your phone? I rebooted my phone and it turned everything normal.
No.
Yeah, that's what I did right before, when you said give me about 3 minutes, I shut my phone off, let it sit, rebooted, and then you got my messages and then everything was normal.
That's that probably. I just don't. When you boot your phone, do you lose your like your browsers where you're at and
No,
stuff?
it just literally turns it off, adds updates to it, and leaves you right where you are, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. I'm
You
gonna.
can
You
go
know what I'm
back.
gonna do? I'm gonna go to the live stream. Well, who's in the chat right now? Just Nicole.
Yeah, it looks like just Nicole right now.
All right, Nicole, we love you. Nicole got the wedding dress today.
Oh, great, guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, she got her wedding dress today, and I asked her. I was like, "Oh, let me see it." And she's like, "I can't show you."
That's true.
And I
You're not
forgot.
supposed to see
I
it.
forgot because I was like the guy who was never gonna get married ever, like ever, ever. But it's like she literally has my back no matter what, and she loves me unconditionally. So it's like you never gonna find anything like that.
That is
That's
true.
you won't. Like I won't. I've never had anyone be that unconditional to me. So
I'm telling you, it's a rare thing, man. It's a very
especially
rare
at,
thing.
especially nowadays, dude, with
Oh,
you hear all these horror stories about people dating like dating websites and like swiping right, swiping left, and like
yeah.
girls have all these crazy like demands for guys. They want them to be like 6'8", like millionaire, like chisel jaw, dimples, like whatever. But the girl might just look like a normal gal, but she expects the guy to look like Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and I have seen some respectfully some interesting individuals that make those demands and kind of put them up against each other, and it's definitely not matching. That's for sure.
When I
It's
was, who says hi in the chat? Ajo, 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 OJ, OJ, OJ.
something like that.
OJ back from the dead?
Oh
Do we
goodness.
do we have to sign a non-disclosure to talk to OJ?
Oh goodness. Is he gonna put out the juiced episodes?
That was a special. The OJ Simpson prank show Juiced was almost
Yeah.
positive it was a VHS deal. Like it was
Yeah,
like
I've
a
seen it.
straight to VHS. He was trying to make money after the crime thing happened, and
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. I've seen parts of it. It's ridiculous. He dresses up like a white guy. Then he's like pretend like he's homeless, trying to get people to like he's selling oranges or something. Or
Yeah.
I
He
have
works at
no
a
idea.
fast food restaurant. He stabs a guy, like they put $100 down on the ground with a string, and the guy follows the $100, and then OJ
Yeah,
comes out and looks like Lemony Snicket's. He's got glasses and the whole makeup job, and he
yeah.
takes a big Michael Myers butcher knife out, and then he runs up on the guy and he stabs him like all the way up. And I
Jeez,
was
man.
like,
What was your
so
what was your opinion? Like you were in crime, like you were a criminal investigator. Do you,
uh-huh.
did you are you familiar with the OJ Simpson case?
Of course. I'm from Southern California. My
Okay.
dad was stuck on the freeway on the 101 because he was driving 1 mile an hour with him and AC Cowling, you
Yeah.
know? And
Do
my
you
other friend's dad was a LAPD detective that was originally supposed to work the case, actually.
well, what's your opinion like
Uh-huh.
just straight up. Do you think that he did it or what?
Yes. Yes, he did it. He may have had help, whatever, but he was in on that stuff. That was the thing about it. to say, "Hi, everybody, I'm OJ Simpson. I don't know anything." Like, yeah, you knew a lot more than what you're saying. That's why your kid signed that NDA when you died. Everybody knew. My friend's dad that worked LAPD, he was supposed to work the case. And his whole thing was, had the department not jumped the fence without a search warrant,
Yeah.
they would have had everything. He was the guy going to get the search warrant. That's what happened. He went to go get the search warrant. They jumped the fence. He
Yeah.
came back. They touched everything, and he was upset for like 2 years straight.
The glove,
Probably still mad.
the matching glove they found at Rockingham, which was OJ's house.
Yeah.
They claim, I guess, since they jumped the fence, they claim that Furman planted it.
Uh-huh.
But Cato Kalin told them like, "Hey, I heard a loud thump on the back of my wall because OJ was taking probably the back area to get back into the house after committing the crime. He probably hit his head on a AC unit and dropped the glove. But the
Oh
problem
yeah.
is, if they would have had the search warrant, like you're saying, they
Yeah.
would have found the glove anyway. They would have eventually found the glove anyway.
That's the thing about it, Alex. The problem was there was a ton of evidence, but because of that search warrant, they couldn't use it. It got thrown out. So his lawyers, you have to look at it wasn't just Bob Shapiro and Johnny Cochran and Kardashian.
F. Lee
There's
Bailey.
Bailey. Yeah, they had a
He,
team. And
yeah.
that was the first case where they used the DNA thing. See, so they wrapped that case tightly. They got rid of jury members, replaced them. Ones they didn't like that they thought were going to cause an issue, they would go, about 10 years ago, did you get a domestic dispute with your husband? And they're, okay, she's got to go. They
gone.
worked the case. So that was the whole thing about it. So if they had done everything the way they should have, my friend's dad handled that case. Yeah, we would have found out all kinds of stuff. Because it's like they got this stack and that's what made people silly about it. It's like, oh, he got proved innocent. There was no proof. There was proof. They couldn't use it because they went in without a search warrant.
Yeah,
and when that happens, it got voided.
Well, it was considered admissible then at that point or something?
Yeah, it was. It was completely admissible. It got voided completely. They couldn't use it. And not to mention, they also, because everybody was like all over the place like that, they gave OJ time to hide things and get rid of things. Like when he was driving to the airport.
The bag.
They said something got thrown out of the car,
There was a guy that he went to the airport for that red eye, and there was a guy who was driving him, his limo driver. I think his name was Alan Park. And he was like, "Hey, I'll put that bag in the car for you." And OJ's like, "No, I don't want you to carry that bag." And then when he dropped him off at the airport, apparently there was a guy who asked OJ for his autograph when he was in the airport. And this is like back in the day, like in '94 when they didn't have cameras on everything.
Yeah.
And he just like took that bag and like put it in one of those garbage cans.
Yeah.
And allegedly that was the murder bag.
Yep.
So, and what's crazy about that is OJ around that time was like, he was working for a company or something. He was a sponsor, or he was sponsored by a knife company that were like, so he was getting free knives. And then also he was also like training to be like a Navy SEAL for a movie that was coming up. So he was learning how to fight with a knife. There was like a lot of interesting stuff that coincided with that. And there was even a lady who saw him allegedly driving back from the scene of the crime, and she like ID'd him, but they wouldn't let her speak in court as a witness because she let National Enquirer or like Hard Copy or somebody buy her story.
Yeah.
So, which still doesn't make sense though, because the truth wouldn't change whether she sold it or not.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And let's not forget the Bruno Mali shoes.
Well, that was basically the moment where the civil case, that was basically where he was screwed, because he was like, "Yeah, I didn't have those shoes. I never owned those shoes. Those ugly ass shoes." And then they found a photo of him at the Buffalo Bills game on the sideline
wearing the shoes.
wearing the shoes. And they're like, oh, 100% without a shadow of a doubt, there was no photo fakery or anything. It was like the real deal. He's
Mhm.
wearing those shoes. They match. You know, and how many people in America had Bruno Mali shoes? Like those were considered extremely
Yeah.
rare and expensive shoes.
Yeah, they
Um,
were Italian made.
yeah, I don't know, man. I have a question. This is an ethical question.
Okay.
Do you think, because OJ always claimed he believed in God, so it's like, had he had he repented and asked for forgiveness after doing that, do you think he's in heaven?
Okay. Now, did he really mean it? This is OJ we're talking about.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
OJ is always like, yeah, everybody. Yeah, that's
yeah.
OJ. And it's like, it's not sincere. So it's like, if he was sincere, that'd be a different story. OJ was never sincere. He did everything he could to make himself look a certain way. I remember after that whole thing, they had like there was a group from Africa that was like giving him some serious praise, and they gave him a kufi hat to put on and stuff, and he was putting it on and just hanging out, because
Yeah.
like they were going along with this thing. So it's like wherever he could get in to fit in, especially at that time, when everything kind of went the way that it did. It's like that's what he did. He just like he kind of get in where he could fit in. And I mean, you have to look towards the end. Okay, so the last 2 years, let's say the last 4 years of OJ's life, did you follow what he was doing?
The last 4 years?
Yeah.
Well, he was on Twitter all the time. I remember
Yes.
that.
Yes. Did
He
you
was
ever watch those?
I watched him. He gave like political comments. He gave sport comments.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like he was trying to like go back to normal. Like he's
Yeah.
OJ, the political, like I don't know, the news guy or whatever. And like, it's got to be such a hard pill for him to swallow to go from being that well loved and everybody loves seeing you to like nobody truly thinks of you as a good person anymore. Everybody, you're like a pariah. Like,
Well, it gets even worse because he just like went with things, like I have some pictures because they're hilarious of him like posing with all these ladies, like,
yeah,
and
like at
then
strip
like,
clubs and stuff. And
yeah. And he's like, he had this alarm clock thing that he did on TikTok where they had to be like early 20s, like three girls that
mhm,
all had blonde hair that you could say representation of Nicole. And they were his alarm clock. And they're like, wake up, OJ, it's time to party. And then he's like in bed with like no clothes on. And he's like rolling around the bed going, oh, like that. And I was like, that's what I'm saying. Like he fed into this stuff. It's not like, okay, Robert Blake is an example, right?
okay.
When did you hear Robert Blake even talk when that murder trial was going? I didn't hear him say one word. He was real quiet. He didn't say anything, and he was looking to escape out of the next door he could get out of and never to be seen again. And you
Yeah.
never saw Robert Blake. You never saw Beretta again, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's put him with OJ. OJ, I'm going to go down to the fanciest restaurant. I'm going to take a photo shoot with models, which he did when he first got out of prison. He got some
Yeah.
young models and, did that. And, he wants to be in the spotlight. He's got a hello, Twitter world, yours truly, and he's doing all that stuff. And it's like,
Yours
you were
truly.
really not, yeah, it's like
I
you were
remember
really
that.
not telling it. Yeah. Robert Blake, which we all know he did that stuff, but he was quiet and disappeared and he didn't want to be seen.
Fuck. Yeah, OJ was like getting into some crazy stuff. He was like still
Yeah.
trying to golf at like nice golf places, and they were like, "We don't really want you here, OJ. Like you bring a whole different element to this place than we want. Like, not, I don't know, man." And like, I don't even know. Like when that happened in '94, all I really knew him for was the Naked Gun movies. Being that age,
Uh-huh.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize like how huge he was. Like
Yes.
he was like transformation. Like he was like the first black man, probably other than like Bill Cosby, to
Mhm.
transcend race. Like he
Yes.
was OJ. Nobody thought of him as black, white, Asian, nothing. It's like he's OJ. Like he's
Yeah.
his own thing. Like Michael
Yeah.
Jordan, Michael Jackson. Um, and he was in major motion pictures. He was in the Towering Inferno.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in Roots?
I don't think he was in
I don't know
Roots.
if he was in Roots, but he was in Towering Inferno.
He was in
He was
Capricorn 1. Remember Cap?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
in he was like the biggest for Hertz Rent a Car. He was like the biggest pitchman in the world.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did TV shows.
He did Broadway.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that, but that
He
does
did Broadway.
surprise me.
Yeah.
To just for him to be that famous and to have that, because it didn't make sense to me, because it's like he was dating LA Raider cheerleaders and like any pretty much any girl that he wanted. It was almost like he just didn't want her to be with anybody else other than him. It was like an ownership thing.
Yeah, it was weird. That's like, dude, you're OJ Simpson. Like you got it made, man. They when they I remember in the 80s as a little kid when I would go to Denny's or IHOP and stuff like that. That's when the one sisters were still alive that ran Denny's. Remember the two old ladies used to do the commercials?
They would call it Lenny's. Are we going to
Yeah.
Lenny's?
Yeah. Really?
I vaguely
Yeah,
remember
they were
that.
still around. Well, when I would go to the restaurants, they would be like, "Would you like some OJ Simpson, little boy?" Like
Oh,
orange juice.
juice,
Yeah,
orange.
yeah. So I mean, that's how huge OJ was. He even had 12-inch action figures. I mean,
Uh, what? Oh, for like when he was playing football.
yeah, yeah. I've seen him.
When
Yeah,
he when OJ when he was playing football for the Bills back in the day, like we have 17 game seasons now. He played in a 14 game season. So
mhm,
for an NFL running back to run, he ran for 2,000 yards in a
yeah,
14 game season. He was and he was also the Heisman Trophy winner for USC.
yeah,
He had a really interesting running style. He wasn't like Barry Sanders. He wasn't like super evasive. He wasn't like Emmett Smith. He didn't like hit his holes and like just keep chugging along. He had this weird. Once he got into the secondary and got to full speed, you were not catching him because he had like Olympic speed.
yeah.
Um, and one of the things, and I want to actually ask you this as uh, a black belt and
Mhm,
a practitioner of the martial arts. So
mhm.
Ron Goldman was studying martial arts.
Yeah,
He was the other victim, and he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time when this happened. And OJ even speaks about it when he says in the "If I Did It" thing. He says Ron gets into a karate stance, and OJ says, "What are you going to kick my ass?" Because do you remember when OJ like
yeah,
okay, so Ron gets in a defensive stand, he's going to fight.
yeah.
Ron's like 26, he's fit. I don't know what belt he was. I don't know how far along he was in martial arts. I have no idea. OJ Simpson, 44 years old, I think at the time, or 40 something. Major arthritis all over his body, but he's filled with adrenaline. He is pissed off. He's got a knife, and
Yeah.
he was able to take both of them down. Like, did Ron have a chance against this guy because he's a former elite athlete? Do you think like a really good martial artist could have got out of that?
It depends on who it was and what they could do. Because there's okay. So I said there's people. Okay, let me break it down. There's people that are good at forms. Okay. Okay. So basically, forms are kata forms. Motion, showing moves, single form competition. Okay.
Yeah,
So there's people that are really good at that, right? But then you have guys that are good at full contact. Guys that are good at you know really good at breaking, either if it's bricks or boards. Some can do an array of all of it,
like Danielson
but
in Japan breaking
oh god,
ice.
his martial arts was terrible.
He broke like Eight Pains Ice though.
He did brand eyes, but I would not put my money on him in a fight. Yeah, he fought some fantastic villains, but he was not too fantastic.
He didn't need it. He had the ghost of Miyagi pushing him the whole way.
Mike Barnes should have killed him.
He did kill him. The only reason he didn't
Technically.
win, he kept reversing his points in that movie. He would get a
Yeah.
point and he'd foul. He'd get a point and then foul. He was punishing him.
That was the thing about it, was like Mike Barnes is my guy, and I know someone that knows Sean Cannon
Is
that
he?
played Mike Barnes.
Does Sean Cannon actually know karate?
Yes, he actually does. He's
Okay.
really good.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, let's talk about that. But I want to talk. But get back to the OJ
Uh-huh.
question. The defense
Yeah.
a true martial artist could have stood a chance against an absolutely raged, pissed off OJ with a knife.
If they knew the right things, and that's what I was getting to. There is martial arts that you use for competitions, katas forms, different things like that. And then there's the martial arts that we all know as martial artists that we have for situations such as that. And that's something you really have to work at. And like, especially like, let's say Ron Goldman was big into Commando Krav Maga, like the real boarded Middle Eastern commando,
Like
straight from
the
Israel.
Zohan,
Uh,
Adam
I
Sandler.
hate to say that. Oh gosh, like the stuff they were when they were training the Navy SEALs, like the prime Commando Krav Maga. Um, that shows you how to disarm people, and it shows you how to use the right technique, like fast thinking, your reaction when you're angry, when you're stressed,
Yeah,
how to get the fastest reaction to take out somebody really really quick, which is cool. But I always tell people a fight is a fight, okay? And in a fight, a lot of things can happen, okay? Because, like, let's say Ron Goldman, all right? He's winning most of the fight, but eventually you do get tired. That's one
Mhm.
thing. So that's why you have to really work on your cardio. Because, like, you might be able to have some pretty smooth moves, but, your cardio will kick out, you know? And it's important that your cardio is strong because you got to last those competitions, and in crazy real life situations, you have to do it. People ask me about this all the time. And what I say is this: life is life. A lot of things can happen. I've seen things go okay, I've seen things go bad. What I always say is, like Michael Bisping, if you know who Michael Bisping is.
I don't. I've heard the name, but I don't.
Okay. If you know who George St. Pierre is.
Yeah, I know George St. Pierre is.
Okay. Okay, so one of his main guys that he had, a feud against was Michael Bisping. Okay, he lost his eye because his eye got damaged, and he had a choice to either get it repaired and possibly save it, or continue competing and wait longer, but he might lose his eye. So he ended up losing his eye. He has like a fake eye.
Okay.
But one of the things Michael Bisping had talked about, he was somewhere in Europe, and these guys came out with some heavy duty artillery and tried to like rob this guy in a car, and he happened to be outside, and like they were pointing guns at him, and as everybody thought he was going to have some grand story, he's like, no, he's like, as soon as the guy got distracted, I pushed the guy and I just booked it down the alley, you know and they're like, well, you didn't stand to it. No, he's like, I mean, I could get lucky and land
Yeah.
something, but he could also shoot me before anything happens. And so
Yeah.
I tell people, I'm like, yes, but also there's the other side of things where it could go the other way. I've seen both situations. um be as prepared as you can be, but I mean, a lot happens. I've even seen situations where, like, let's say guys at a bar, this is a true story, this has happened many times, okay, and gets into it with another guy, drops the guy, right? The guy's like, all right, cool. The guy hits the floor. He's out or kind of dazed. All right. And the guy stays in the bar. Well, that guy that got dropped on the floor, he goes and gets 5, 10, 20 of his friends. They all come back to the same club and come looking for him. And this
Yeah.
guy's still staying in the club, just having a good time. I've seen that happen. And it's like, no, don't be stupid. If that happens, the first thing you do is you leave as fast as you can, as secretly as you can, so nobody's following you,
Hmm.
and you get out of there and hope that you don't run into those guys again, because it always goes south in those situations. You know, um, your stamina, like I said, it kicks out. You get tired, you know, it can happen. So if you're getting rushed by a bunch of guys,
What's up, Mac?
but you're getting tired. Not everybody's one on one, unless you're in
Yeah.
Seattle and you're Phoenix Jones and the police give you mutual combat, but it's one at a time, then okay, then there you go. But yeah, in a real life situation when somebody just really wants to get you, I mean, they're coming at you, you know, and you literally have to do stuff like, for me, my biggest thing was inside a leg, groin, okay, and anything you can hit with an elbow as fast as you can. Usually the side of the head, uh, and any push kick, that you can go a front snap kick, which is all aimed at the groin or inside the groin area.
Hmm.
You know, that's a great one, to use. But it's also with an attachment. Once you do that and move them out of direction or distract them or hurt them to some point, you immediately take off faster than the flash. That's what you do. You don't wait like a Chuck Norris movie, like you're in the octagon or good guys wear black and
Yeah.
have this final showdown like him and David Carradine had in Lone Wolf McQuade. Like, no, you drop that as fast as you can, psycho, whatever you got to do to distract them so they don't see it coming. Hit them with that as fast as you can, and take off. That's the
Um.
best thing you could do.
So, excuse me. I was always like under the impression that like if I was in a fight or if I was in like a life or death situation, that I would try to crush their Adam's apple. Like I would try to get their. Couldn't you? But you could kill somebody doing that.
Yeah, you could do a ranger throat grab. I know how to do that.
Like
You know,
go for the Adam's apple or punch the Adam's
yeah,
apple or
that's a good
whatever.
one too. That's a
I
very good one. If you can get it, if the guy's trained, he's going to be like this. He's
yeah.
going to be linked so you can't
Oh, to
get to
protect
it
his
as easy.
vitals.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
So
Okay. Here's a hypothetical. Who?
yeah.
Okay. This is the stupidest thing ever. If Bruce Lee was the one there that night,
Uh-huh.
right? He's over at Nicole's house, and
Yeah.
OJ's doing his OJ thing. How does that play out? Can Bruce
Uh
stop OJ?
Bruce, yeah, I mean, if we're talking about Bruce using his non-movie, like when he was on those roofs of back in Kowloon in
Hmm.
China, when he was just battling people on the street, full contact, just coming at people. Uh, yeah, I wouldn't want to be OJ in that situation.
who who was a better? So was Brandon even close to Bruce as far as like martial arts?
Okay, so Brandon and Bruce were very different. Brandon's way of thinking, how he moved, he loved his dad very, very much, but Brandon strived to be different than Bruce. Brandon strived to be Brandon. Okay, so Brandon's fighting style is way different than Bruce. He did train with Dan Inosanto, who was one of Bruce's top students and taught Bruce how to use nunchucks, eskrima sticks. So he walked him through Kali, Serrata, and eskrima, and all the Filipino stick fighting and knife fighting combat, as well as just the martial arts of the Philippines, because Dan Inosanto was from the Philippines. Um, Brandon trained with him, Jeff Yamada, you know. I know he spent some time with Taki Kimura, who was another one of Bruce's really good students. But he was different. Brandon had a different way of doing things. Brandon took a lot from Jackie Chan films. Brandon liked throwing things at people and chairs and getting people to go for doors and stuff like that. Brandon liked doing a lot of stuff like that, and he really was into Muay Thai kickboxing. He was big into Muay Thai kickboxing, and he was really good at it. And Brandon formed his own version of Jeet Kune Do, or his take of Wing Chun Kung Fu. Brandon's was completely different than Bruce. They were kind of night and day in a lot of ways. You
Do you
know,
think?
Brandon was also taller.
Do
You
you
know,
think? Do you think Brandon did that because he felt resentment for the way Bruce had treated his mother? Maybe.
the thing about Brandon was a big fan of his father. Of course, he was aware of some things, Betty Ting Pei and all that stuff. So was Shannon. But the thing about Brandon was Brandon still supported both of his parents. He was still cool with both of them.
Hmm.
And he really looked up to his father, but at the same time, he didn't want to be stuck as Bruce Lee's kid. That was
He
what
wanted to
Brandon
break.
didn't want to do.
He wanted to break out and be his own thing.
That's what he did. That's why he didn't go back to martial arts for X amount of years, because he had this whole thing for a long time where he didn't want to do it because it connected him back to his father.
Hmm.
So Brandon actually traveled the states when he got out of high school. He just would just vagabond, hitchhike and go to all these different states. He was a real big daredevil guy. So he like rode motorcycles. He was into fasting. He drove a hearse.
Yeah, you told me about that on the
Yeah,
stream
he
last
drove a
week.
hearse. Brandon's car was a hearse. He was live for today, don't worry about tomorrow. Brandon was real sparky. I told you about the story when that guy robbed his house, right? Tried to, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And dislocated his shoulder.
Don't
Yeah.
don't try to take his VCR, man.
Yeah. He was like, I saw that VCR, and like the guy was like, ah, and he's like, nope, I'm going after him. Brandon
um,
Brandon was no joke.
I got a question. I got a question. So, in a
And he
straight
had a
up,
knife. There you go. The guy had a knife. He cut, because okay, when you get a knife fight, more than likely, almost 10 out of 10, you're gonna get cut somewhere. So
because
Brandon,
it's gonna
yeah,
be all over the place. Whatever.
yeah, you're gonna get cut. It's just, even if you grab it, you control it. Sometimes there's a struggle, then the blade can get you. And in Brandon's case, he got a little cut, but that guy didn't get a little something. That guy got messed up so bad. He's like, yeah, and then he went to the hospital, and that tells you what happened to that guy. So Brandon beat the mess out of that guy.
Good. It's like when that person tried to break into Hacksaw's house, Hacksaw Jim Duggan's house,
Oh
and,
yeah,
and
he went shoot
Hacksaw
at
like,
him.
yeah, Hacksaw Jim Duggan like put him in a rear naked choke or like did something. He beat the shit out of him. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan's like 70. Same thing happened with Daniel Bryan too. Like Daniel Bryan, somebody tried to break into his house and he like caught him with the rear naked choke, like held him till the cops came.
Yeah, people got some crazy questions in here. OJ was on an episode of Family Guy. Yes, he was on a lot of shows. He was on um, South Park.
Yeah,
Well, somebody played him.
he moved in next door.
Let's see. Alex, could Drew stand a chance against OJ? Uh, yeah, I take the juice.
if if Drew wasn't sleeping with OJ's ex, it'd be a straight up fight. But if OJ had that extra anger,
I'd turn
that's
him into orange juice.
that's the
I get
problem,
him.
dude. Hey, I got a question.
Yeah.
Who would win in a straight up fight?
Mhm.
Dolph Lundgren
Okay.
or JDF?
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's an interesting one, because Dolph Lundgren came from the Kyokushin family. For those of you that don't know what Kyokushin is a Japanese art that is very, very brutal. It's bare knuckle. He was bare knuckle Kyokushin world champion at one time. And if you ever see Dolph's fights, the Kyokushin, especially the fights he was in, they let you stomp each other in the groin. Like if you're on the floor, they let you stomp on each other. Like, and Dolph was notoriously known for stomping very hard and throwing
Yeah.
a lot of people around. He was pretty brutal.
What was his
But
record?
Oh, I got to look it up. A good one? I can
Okay.
tell you that. I got to
Yeah.
get the exact numbers. It was very good. To be world champion at Kyokushin is very hard because when you go in for your levels to, you know, go further into, being a first degree, second degree, and you start moving to mastery levels, like Michael Jai White, he's a Kyokushin guy, you know, and he'll tell you, he's like, yeah, the last Kyokushin test I had to do, I had to fight 20 different guys. So, and there was no break, like, okay, I get to one of the guys, they bring me another, they bring me another. They really, really stress you out. You're running, they got you running, they got you exercising hard, they got you fighting people, getting you all tired and depleted, throwing people at you that aren't tired and depleted. Kyokushin is no joke. So Dolph Lundgren is one of the best practitioners out there of it, and
Hmm.
Michael Giles too. So yeah, those guys are very, very good. Okay, JDF. Here's the thing about JDF. JDF was no joke. Here's the thing about JDF. JDF proved it every time because he went over to Thailand and trained with Master Toddy. And Master Toddy is one of the best Muay Thai kickboxer
And
trainers you could ever get and have. He's
I've
the best
seen
to get.
I've seen some of those episodes of my
Yeah,
Morphin life where he goes over there to train.
yeah. If you see how hard he kicks, how he moves, JDF was an elite of elite fighter. He was one of the best practitioners, and he was signed off by Chuck Norris. Okay, Chuck signed off on Jason, and that was a big thing because Chuck was world champion. Was a heavy competitor for a long time. Benny the Jet signed off on Jason. Superfoot Bill Wallace did. Everybody pretty much did that was around Jason or knew about him. And Jason went into the MMA world and killed that, you know?
He's like 3-0,
So,
4-0. Yeah.
mhm.
All
Yeah.
his
I
fight
mean,
all of Jason's fights ended really quickly. Like
yes.
he would have he would give him like he would either tap him out or like rear naked choke him or whatever. It'd be over within the first round.
Somebody's asking me who wins in a fight, Sasha Mitchell or Dolph Lundgren. That's a good one too.
Uh,
Um, Sasha is very good. Um, he came from the Jet Center with Benny the Jet Arquetas, the greatest kickboxer we ever had. Um, very, very good. He was one of his top students. He's got a lot of height. He's got a lot of reach. He knows how to use it really, really good.
yeah,
He's
Sasha
like a
Mitchell is
tall guy.
tall.
Yeah, yeah, he's very tall. And I've seen him just like reach over and just grab people and his legs are so long so when he's going in for a block with some he's doing Muay Thai, his blocks are beautiful and then he's got this really sweet sidekick that just takes people right off the floor both legs and he's just tossing them over and he's really, really good. Sasha's very good and he's in fantastic shape. I saw him on a video not too long ago and he looks real good. Uh,
He does
really, really.
construction. He does construction now.
Yeah, he's in shape though. I mean, man.
Oh, he lifts weights all the time. I watched a video of we might have seen the same video. He was talking to a previous like martial artist colleague or he was talking to somebody about his weightlifting regime and everything he still does. Like he's just like he's a physical specimen. He's jacked now.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
very
Sasha's big. I don't know. That's a tough one because Dolph very good, very athletic, very jacked, very tall, very smart, very skilled. They both kind of sit at the same place. You
mhm.
know, that would be an interesting fight to see both of them going head to head. Because yeah, both of them trained very, very heavy. They just weren't doing some small level stuff. They were training with the most elite fighters we've ever had in martial art history and learning from them and getting signed off by those guys. And if you get signed off by Benny the Jet or Kitas, you're the man because Benny the Jet was unstoppable.
Well, yeah,
Unstoppable.
Benny the Jet pickled the beast and he stole home.
Yeah,
Benny the Jet literally pickled the beast
that's
in
true.
Sandlot. Yeah, he was a heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Drew
That's
Benny,
true.
Benny the Jet.
That's right.
Um, okay, you never answered me though. JDF or Dolph? Just you don't. I know you what
Okay,
your heart. I
okay.
know what your heart wants to say, but just give me an honest answer.
I'm just thinking about some things. I honestly, off the top of my head, I would say JDF.
Really?
Yes.
So he was okay. Now, okay. Now I need.
Uh-huh.
Now that we've established that JDF is legit, like we
Yes.
didn't already know that. Tell me how fight between him and Geiger goes down. Austin St. John.
Oh man.
Like,
Um,
does Geiger know any
he
martial arts?
he does. Okay. So Austin's one of those guys that, like, what happened with Austin was Austin trained with his dad. I think he trained at different schools. His record was not very known because he did move a lot, and he learned a lot from his dad. So he was pretty self-taught by his father. He can do okay, but as far as being like a brawler, like, no.
Like mentally tough, can like hang in there,
I
deliver
mean,
some
if you want
blows, take
somebody
some
to
blows.
do some pretty nice stuff that looks pretty basic stuff, he could do that. Okay. But as far as like comparing him to JDF, like, no, like JDF could get you in the cage, he could get you a full contact, he get you a Muay Thai. Like Austin, no, he wouldn't last.
Who would win in a fight between? This is an honest question. Who would win a
Uh,
fight between the person who played Paul Schreier, who played Bulk, okay,
uh-huh.
or Walter Jones?
I don't know because like um Walter has the whole hip hop keto thing going, but also at the same time he did get messed up at what was it, Magic
Six
Mountain or
Flags.
yeah.
Six Flags got his ass
So
kicked. Um, I love that video recording of JDF being like, "Are you challenging? What did he say? Are you challenging my manhood?" Or he says something like
yeah.
that. Said, "Are you challenging my manhood?" And Walter Jones, because what the hell was that all about? Like
Oh,
Walter was pissed that Jason was allegedly blocking him from a convention, and JDF was like, "I'm just going to pay you the money that you allegedly lost, like your guarantee or whatever." What the hell was that?
okay. I got it. I'm a little hazy on most of it, but from what I remember, it had to do with Walter wanted to go with JDF and book shows, which JDF was like, "Hey, that's cool," but I think Walter's agent was the guy that's the agent for Austin that JDF used to have, that they don't get along. So that couldn't happen.
The one
And
who the agent that like was happy JDF passed.
right. Yeah. So he was like, I'm not going to work with that guy. If you can find a way around it, yeah, you can do whatever show you want with me. That's not a problem. And Walter, it really got down to Walter was like, well, I can't book that many shows because of the whole agent thing, so I'm missing out on money. And Walter's whole thing was he just wanted to get paid. That was Walter's whole thing. So JDF was just like, all right. And that's how the money thing happened.
Hmm.
He's like, here, I got it in cash, here you go, there's the money. Okay. you know and Walter's all about money and all what he can get. That's just Walter's thing. That's why he left Space Cases,
Wanted
because he
more
thought he
money.
was going to get a better deal with Aaron Spelling over a show that was not 100% in stone, and then it fell through, and then there was no more Space Cases. That deal was done. They were going to do season 2, and he got paid pretty good from what I understood about that, but he thought he was going to get another opportunity, and he had a good one to start with. So I'm like, why would you leave that? I mean, at the most, just work out your schedule where you could kind of work out both, and see if anything happens with Aaron Spelling. And that way, if it doesn't, you still got space cases.
The like going back before that, the Power Ranger thing, like
Uh-huh.
that show, like the peak of that show for me personally was like season 2. I think was my very favorite of that show, and like it just seemed like the show was coming into its own. Lord Zed showed up.
Yeah,
I felt like the Rangers were like that group, that six, like were that was perfect group meld mesh of a team. It was like a cultural phenomenon, and then by them trying like the three, and you can like say it either way, I guess. Like you could say JDF and Amy and David were right for staying, and
yeah.
you could say they were wrong for staying because they didn't. But it's like hindsight is 2020, and like they stayed and they kept their jobs. And the one thing that I think that Austin, Twee, and Walter didn't like take into account was the fact that like maybe we're not making a bunch of money from the episodes filming it, but we're getting so much attention and so many eyeballs on us, we can make money from other areas
Mhm.
now or later on down the road. It just seemed like extremely like short-sighted of them to do that. What do you think about that?
Okay. So Walter and Austin are all about what they can get. As you find out with Twee, I think Twee was agreeing to a point, but also there was an event where they kind of coaxed Twee to go speak, but they didn't go speak.
and
You
and she
see?
looked like an ass because she was like speaking out of place at this like television executive meeting or whatever.
Yeah. See, where were those guys? Like, why would you see that says what they did to Twee, which was messed up, because Twee and Jason were really close. I mean, she's on the show because of Jason. That's the
Really? Why?
truth.
Why is that? I
I'll
didn't know
tell
that.
you how. Because remember, Audrey Dubois was the original Yellow Ranger. And so
And
she left.
they weren't gonna pay. Like she didn't like the contract. She's like, I don't want to do this or whatever.
Yeah, she was like, no, it's got to be this way. So they replaced her. And so when they were casting for the Green Ranger, he had already gotten cast, right? And they went to him and said, can you pick a girl to train with and bring her to audition for us? And so he looked and he went to Twee. That's what happened. And then he trained her, gave her some forms. She went, blew it out of the water, and that's what happened. That's why when Austin always said, "Oh, the original five, the original five," you mean Audrey?
Yeah, you mean
Because
she?
yeah,
Um,
she got hired the same day as JDF. You see where I'm going? She
what
got hired around the same time. So
did did
when she
Haim
came into it,
Saban? Did Haim already know that he was gonna like? Was Jason hired from the beginning, or was he hired like a couple weeks into production?
so he got hired a little later on, but he was there pretty much at the beginning. So he was behind the scenes, So he was doing stuff behind the scenes. So that, and it's proven in photos. Like you'll see him around the set before he even shows up on the show. So
Yeah,
he was doing stuff beforehand. And his character was only supposed to be in X amount of episodes. And
like
then that was that.
like 6 or something. Like not a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, he was supposed, and then that was it. But he became so popular, they had to keep him around. They had to find a way because you remember he's supposed to do, what became VR Troopers, but Cybertron.
Hmm.
Cybertron. So he, was all set for that, and then Brad Hawkins was supposed to be the White Ranger.
Yeah,
You know, but then they were like, "What are we doing? He's so popular, he should just be the White Ranger. Give Brad Hawkins that show and." Things got flipped around, and that's what ended up happening, but they didn't expect Jason to be as big as he was. I don't know how they couldn't. I mean, he's got that shield, he's got the dragon flu, he's got the sword, he takes apart the Power Rangers, he's got that cool dragon Zord.
he
I
had his
mean,
own. Yeah, he had his own Zord. He was like
yeah,
an absolute match for Austin on screen. Like
Oh, he beat all of them at the same time. So I was like, how could you not
Hmm.
like look at him and be like, oh, that's the show? Because you have to think about it. The show did well, but it didn't kick off until what?
Till
The
Tommy
Green
showed
Ranger.
up. Yeah.
When that hit, I was there. I remember because Austin can say whatever he wants, but I was at Toys R Us that weekend, and I was going to get X-Men figures, but they
Yeah.
sold out of X-Men because remember X-Men was the top show because it's
Yeah. Yeah.
Batman animated series, then X-Men, and they were kind of competing with each other. Then Power Rangers came, right? And so all the X-Men stuff was sold out. I mean, the racks were empty. I was like, ah. But my dad, I didn't know the next time he was going to take me down there, right? So I was just like, well, I got to get something. So I went and those were those triangle cut boxes of,
Yeah.
the original big figures. And
They were like
so I bought
12 inches or whatever, however big
I
they
think they
were,
were like
8
8 or
inches,
something. Yeah, they
8.
were
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
8, but they were cool and they were real posable. And I was like, yeah, I watched an episode of the show. Yeah, it was cool. I'll get the Red Ranger. And then, like, by that time, the Green Ranger had just showed up. And I remember the guy at the cash register was like, why didn't you get the green one? I was like, I'd have bought them if they had them, but I
Yeah.
don't see them on the shelf. And then Green Ranger sensation took over. And then Toys R Us had a banner over the sign of Toys R Us that said, we do not have any Power Ranger anything.
No swords, nothing.
No,
No, you don't have
no,
no squat, no babu, no fence, or nothing.
no pencils, no racers, no Power Ranger trading cards. It was all gone. You had to do a special order that you may get, but you had to wait weeks and months and days to get it.
I
And
I never saw Dragon Zord in stores ever. Anywhere. Ever. I've never even seen it in person other than like at a toy store. I've
I've
never
seen it. I saw it in person in the heyday, and I got it.
shit. Do you still have it?
You, no, I don't have it anymore. That
I
got sold when I got married.
okay. I have
Um,
the I have the Tiger Zord and I have the 8-inch White Ranger and all that, which is cool. It's really cool. I'm super happy that I have that. I'm grateful. That Dragon Zord, man. I'm telling you, I'm telling you,
well,
man.
yeah, I'll tell you what happened. So here's the trick, boys and girls. Everybody was going to Toys R Us, Walmart, Target, stuff like that, right? KB Toys. People were going there, FAL Sports, whatever, depending on where you're at. Um, Service merchandise was the store nobody thought to go into. And they had kind of an action figure section. It grew a little bit more. I would go there. Me and a buddy of mine figured it out because they would get stuff. So, like the Batmobile for the animated series, they had it before Toys R Us did, and it was sitting collecting dust because nobody knew they had it. So when I went in there, there's the Dragon Zord in the box because that's how you got the big 8-inch Green Ranger. He came with
Yeah.
Dragon Zord with it. It was all one deal. It was 28, $29 to get it. Okay. And there it was sitting on the shelf. And I was like, just one. And they had Titanus.
Oh, did you get Titanus too?
I didn't get Titanus because I couldn't do that one, but the Green Ranger was the one. But if I could have, I would have. But they had it. And there it was. So servants merchandise, like when they brought back the Star Wars figures for the Power of the Force series, the two, because Power of the Force one was 85, 95 was two.
Yeah.
When those hit and you couldn't really find them, I went to servers merchandise. Pow! I found Han Solo. There he was.
That those Power of the Force 2 figures, like I still love those figures, and they're not really worth anything. They're really plentiful. Um, but not back in the day, not when Drew and I were younger. But like I remember, like it took a long time for me to find a Luke. It was not easy to find a Boba Fett. I could not find a Stormtrooper in my town. And I also remember. Do you remember the links of the lightsabers being a big deal? Like
Uh huh.
if you had one that was longer, it was considered to be worth more money. Yeah, they
Yep.
shrunk them down. I remember the one Star Wars figure I got that was like, wow, this is pretty badass. It was Luke from Jedi with the black cape and the cloak, and the
Yep.
green lightsaber.
Yep.
Whew, whew. That was a hot one. That was a good one.
I'll tell you what happened. So I got Han. I had a friend at church that had the stormtrooper and he had Obi-Wan, and I traded him something to get, I forgot what it was, to get those two. And then there was the Han and Stormtrooper that you had to get from the cereal boxes.
Okay.
And I traded my buddy Greg at church for a Weapon X Wolverine, an extra Weapon X Wolverine I had, and I got that. Luke, my sister found at Walmart, and she looked, and I didn't have any money. She said, "Don't worry about it. I'll just give it to you for Christmas. I'll buy it right now." So she got that. Um, Christmas came. I got Chewbacca for my other sister, and then I got some Christmas money. Went to Walmart, and then I got R2, C3PO, which was the really hard one to get out of the first series, and Darth Vader. So then I had the whole first series.
You got
And
Darth Vader
then,
last.
yep.
Damn.
And then the Boba Fett had showed up with Luke and X-Wing. And I saw them at Save-Ons, grabbed them. My parents had business in Fontana. I had to beg my parents. First, I had to bribe them because they wanted some of the comic book money I made to go do whatever they were going to do with it.
What kind of comic book money? What are you talking about?
Well, I did comic book business. I sold comic books. So I had vintage comic books as a kid, and I did a lot of business. Like I couldn't even look over the counter half the time, but I started like at like, I don't know, probably like at 10. And
Flipping and
mhm,
like buying and like.
I was going around getting certain books, or I had certain books that were inherited to me, and I sold books, and I got cash for Star Wars figures. Either that or I was sanding furniture for my neighbor next door. You
Okay,
know,
dude.
and that's all I.
When I was a kid, my grandma would pay us 2 cents a dandelion in the yard, but it wasn't. You couldn't just pull the top off. You had to take the root out, and then you'd bring the bag into the kitchen, and she'd hand count them.
Oh man,
2 cents a dandelion, Drew. So like,
that's crazy.
you had to use a spade or like whatever that trowel or whatever it's called, and dig the whole root out. And if the root wasn't attached, you didn't get your 2 cents. But
That's
anyway,
wild. Yeah,
anyway.
I would
So you were
I
going.
would
Go
go
ahead.
down to Frank and Sons collector show. I'd do some comic business down there, walk out with $100 or 50 or 60, $200, whatever. My dad was like, let me get a piece of that.
Let me hold on to that for you.
Yeah, he would. And he put it in this report card business that was stupid. It would have worked in the 60s, but it's the 90s, and it wasn't working anymore. But he had all these ideas he would take the money and put it into,
A
and then the
report
money would
card
never show
business?
up again. Report card business. He was
What?
making professional report cards for businesses, but by that time they had advanced it compared to the style that he was doing. He was still thinking like he was in the 60s. He wasn't
Okay.
thinking like in the 90s. And
Yeah.
so it would just go, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll give you this money. They're like, well, we're going to take it anyway. I said, well, that's not the point. Here's the thing. I'm going to give you a list. There's a Toys R Us in Fontana right next door to where you guys are going. Can you go in there, because I'm paying you, and get the Series 2 figures? And they did. They brought, it was the TIE Fighter pilot, Yoda with the training backpack, Luke and Dagobah training gear. So he had the tank top.
Yeah.
Um,
Greedo.
he didn't come, not yet. Not yet. But I didn't know it. Lando was in that series, and I didn't put him on the list. And here became the Star Wars Wars, because the last two figures, the one from the first series was the messed up Princess Leia figure that the face was all jacked up.
From the first. From the first.
Right. Yeah. And then Lando from series 2 was the second hard figure to get. So at the time, she was going for about 50, $60. He was going for about 35, 40. Okay. And everybody was trying to find Lando and Leia everywhere.
Which Lando was it? Was it him with the cape or was it him with the
Yeah,
mask?
No, it's Cloud City with the cape.
Then he
Yeah,
had an orange back? Was the card back orange?
it was.
Dude, you can get that Lando now for nothing.
Yeah, back then it was it. So I remember it was sixth grade graduation. I had just graduated from sixth grade, and I was on my way to go see Dragonheart. Okay, that's how
Yeah.
far back this goes with
Jeremy
Dennis Quaid
Irons, right?
and Dina Meyer was in that. And
Yes.
so, and Sean Connery was the voice of Draco the Dragon.
Okay, I
So,
remember.
yeah, so I was hyped on that. Well, my aunt Carolyn, who was a scientist that did some work for NASA at one time in her life, and she taught high school science. She unfortunately was dying of cancer. It's my mom's sister. And Aunt Carolyn was funny, but she would give quite a bit of money for good grades. My sister, Miss 4.0, got a stack of money from my aunt. And my
Mhm.
aunt looked at my grades and she was like, well, you kind of, this grade right here is okay. So, she handed me like $20. I was like,
Mhm.
all right. Alex knew back then $20 was a good setup because
That's
that could buy
four.
you that's four figures.
That's four figures.
Yeah.
Five
So
bucks.
I had not had Lando and Leia yet. So my aunt talked to my mom and she's like, well, what does he want? She's like, oh, Star Wars figures. She's like, oh, he still likes Star Wars. She said, why don't you take him to Toys R Us tomorrow and see if you guys can work something out to maybe get those figures. I don't know, maybe they'll show up. So my mom agreed as a favor to her sister, Aunt Carolyn, to do that. I met a collector guy, one of the older guys that would take all would buy whole cases of figures,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh, the
and he was
whole like
cool.
unopened, like
Yeah,
not even
yeah,
sorted at the
yeah,
store.
yeah, yeah, those guys. And you're just like, can I get one Han Solo and Hoth? No, it's my box. You can't have it. It's a lot like that. And one guy that was there was really cool. And he said, listen, kid, he said, I'm telling you, if you go to the back, because remember, you used to go to the back of Toys R Us. They used, you could go back there and they would bring out boxes if they had it.
I don't remember that but that's awesome. I don't remember that
Yeah.
because okay,
Maybe it's a California thing, but like you could go to the back, very back, where the warehouse, where they had all their stock, stuff,
where they're
and you
actually
can go,
working in the back. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and you could go, hey, dude, I'm looking for this, and I'm not kidding, guys, boys and girls, 9.5, almost 10, they came out with a box, and in that box is exactly what you wanted and more. Okay. And very few times it didn't for Leia and Lando. I had a couple busts where it just didn't happen, but for some reason that day, my mom was being really cool because Aunt Carolyn, I guess Aunt Carolyn probably did something big for her, so my mom was in a good mood about it for once. And so I convinced my mom. I said, "Can you talk to the manager and see if they have them back there?" And my mom talked to the manager. My mom she was kind of like a socialite, she hung around a lot of movie stars, so she was kind of fancy, knew how to talk to people. So she put on the charm just for me that day. So I'll give my mom credit on that one. She did good. And she talked to the manager. Manager thought my mom's ring was real nice, and they kind of hit it off. Oh, where do you do your hair? And
Mhm.
oh, I go here, and they were hit off. Oh, I really like you. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to go back there myself and get my best worker, and if we have it, we'll find both of those figures for you. You know what happened? Five
What?
minutes later, the manager came out with both in her hand.
Oh wow.
I completed series one and series two. Sixth grade graduation was done, and series one and two was done.
Hell yeah. What
That
did you
was the
think?
greatest moment.
What did you think about the Shadows of the Empire stuff?
Oh boy. Okay, so Shadows of the Empire was cool because it was the craziest thing. They made it sound like they were going to make a movie or a
Yeah.
cartoon or something, and they never did. It was like a video game, and it was kind of a video game where you kind of did some of the stuff, but you kind of didn't. And then you read the book by Stephen Perry, which I still have my original copy
Yeah.
over there on my bookshelf. It was interesting because it was after Empire and before Jedi, and so it was a cool book. And then they did the figures, and I went crazy because, I didn't think that they were going to go that far, but it was like they were trying to do a campaign for Star Wars again, for a Star Wars that they weren't planning on making a movie or a show or anything with. It was all comic books, and promotional stuff and video game stuff. And that's what they did. And I thought it was really cool. Prince Chizor was interesting. Leia and her bounty hunter disguised as Bosch disguise. We hadn't gotten that yet, and then that's how you first got her.
Mm.
And then behind it, they did you a little bonus, and it wasn't a Shadow of the Empire figure, but they made Han and Carbonite that was coming behind it.
I remember that. And then oh, sorry. Dash Rendar was like
Yeah,
a Han Solo ripoff, wasn't he?
he was a Han Solo ripoff. I don't care what
Like,
anybody says. He was a complete Han Solo ripoff.
yeah, he
Yeah.
seemed like a Han Solo ripoff, and I liked his gun that he had. That like it went to his shoulder or something, and like came over.
Yeah. And then you pull it down.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like, dude, you have
Cool.
that gun. Yeah, he has that gun firing right next to his head. He's gonna have no hearing.
Yeah.
His shoulder is gonna be
Yeah.
jacked up. Um, that was one of the last lines, like the last lines as a kid that I was still. It might have been the last line I collected as a kid, like from childhood, because previous to that was Power Rangers, and then I went into Star Wars, and that was pretty much it for my childhood toy collecting. Before that was like Hasbro, WWF Hasbro, GI Joe, He Man, Thundercats, like all that stuff, dude. What's the chat saying, Drew?
It's still the same as the Sasha Mitchell, Dolph Lundgren, the last thing. And all of you that said, hey, I'm sorry. Hey guys, hope you guys are all doing good. Keep writing in. I'll try to read it. I was gonna tell you, when the Han and Carbonite came out, it was an orange package. And then shortly after that, the Luke and Jedi was connected shortly after that.
Mhm.
Um, and then they started to get into the green package. Remember the green package came
Yeah,
in.
Greedo,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Grand Moff Tarkin, freaking the Emperor Palpatine,
Mm-hmm.
Jawas, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
And then you had you had Luke and Stormtrooper, which was one of the last orange and package ones they did, and then they switched over to green. And then you
Oh,
had Hammerhead, the Jawas, Luke and Stormtrooper. Gosh, what was the other one?
dude,
It was a green.
the Han and Stormtrooper was a mail away from Kellogg's.
Yeah, and I had that. Yeah,
That
I
was a
traded my buddy to get it.
it was a mail away from
And
Kellogg's.
I had the mail away for the Spirit of Obi-Wan figure from Frito Lay.
Oh, did you? I never even seen anyone that had that. I didn't even
Yeah,
know anyone had like.
yeah. See, boys and girls, Drew is the biggest original trilogy Star Wars fan out there. Like I was in the trenches when there were no trenches. I was during Star Wars when it was the dark times. And if you know about the dark times, some of you may, but it's a rare thing. The dark times is when they weren't making any merchandise except for the books, an occasional poster, occasional t-shirt, a collector's plate, and maybe an applause statue thing. And that was it. That's
Was
all
that
you got.
was that during the like after Jedi, like 86 to like 95 or something like that?
It was after Power of the Force 1, because that came out 85. So that was a couple years after Jedi. They tried to make some more money off that. Then they decided they weren't going to do anymore and they were done with Star Wars. So it's pretty much 85, 86 up until almost 95. And those were the dark times. So it was like
Mhm.
role playing books. They did that. I was at B. Dalton books, Walden books, Crown books, like getting like all the Star Wars books that I could get my hands on. Like I was like, let me get that one, let me get that one, and playing the computer games when they came up, and then the role playing
Yeah.
books. I was doing that, and then I was chasing down the original figures. So I was going to all the antique shops, and trying to like get any figures I could get my hands on. I was going to all the swap meets, the Orange County Bowl. down in Orange County, which was a big swap meet. I would go down there. Long Beach had a big swap meet. LA, of course, had big swap meets. And depending on who you came across, either they want a lot for them or they want almost nothing for them. It
Yeah.
depends where you were going. If you went to antique shop, they wanted a lot, or a decent amount. But they would be racked with them, especially in 88, 88, 80, 88, 87, 89, 90. You would find antique shops with whole floors with Star Wars collections, doubles and triples of stuff, from 85 Power of the Force, which was the hardest one to get because they shut it down. But you
Mm.
would see all this stuff there, and my mind would just blow. There was a place in Orange County that had half a section that had every single Star Wars figure and vehicle and toy replica gun that you could think of. They had everything. They weren't missing one. And they had it so deep, they had like the figure in the package and out of the package because they had so much stuff. And I would just walk through there and like pass out, like hit the floor because it was just everything I ever wanted.
Yeah.
Can you imagine walking into a place and seeing every Star Wars figure from 1978 to 1985 and vehicle all on the floor?
No,
Like everything.
it'd be crazy to see that. Like, it'd be crazy to see any line, any full
Yeah.
complete line of any toy run. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine like going as like a full run of GI Joe or something like that. Like from the 80s to the 90s. Like that would be insane. Um, who is your like? Who are your like? Who's your favorite Star Wars figure? Like not figure, but like character from
Luke.
the films. Luke is,
Luke Skywalker. Yeah, that's why my son's name is Luke.
but why though?
Okay, I'll explain to you why. Because Luke is a representation of a hero's journey, which Joseph Campbell wrote that book, and that's what George was reading when he did Star Wars. So he's the representation of that, which George Miller was given that book by George Lucas when he had some ideas when he was putting together the Road Warrior. Um, Luke represents the ultimate hero. He's the farm boy who has a dream of being greater in life and doing, good things, being a hero, saving the day. And with it, it's not as easy as he thinks. Luke gets challenged. He loses his hand. He finds out Vader's his father. He goes through hardship, you know, the rebellion being crushed, an empire, him being one of the top commanders, the stress of being the guy that destroyed the Death Star and going, okay, what's next now, Luke? Okay, you destroyed the Death Star. Now what are we going to do? That's a lot of pressure, don't you think? Like, to walk up against that. Like, okay, now what do I do? And now we're getting stepped on by the Empire. They're mad. We're scattered across the galaxy, and you guys are looking for me to give you another miracle with the Force. Oh boy. And I haven't even mastered it yet. And so he's got a lot of pressure on him. And even from the pressure, Luke still does what is right. People go, should he have gone to Cloud City? Should he not have? Yoda was actually wrong. Okay. Luke needed to go to Cloud City because if he had not, Han and Leia would not have escaped. Well, we know Han, well, he doesn't escape. He gets carbonated,
Yeah.
but at least Leia and Chewie and 3PO and Lando, they wouldn't have gotten out of there. They set that up because Vader was like, put them on my ship. He kept changing the deal. So, Lando was stuck in the middle because people have to understand originally, Vader just wanted Luke when the deal was initially made. Okay.
Because it's
He
his
didn't
son.
want Han. Yeah, he didn't want Han. He didn't want Leia. He didn't want Chewie. He didn't want 3PO. He just wanted Luke. But then he was like, well, if I torture them and through the Force, he can feel and see their pain, that'll make him want to come here. So let me do that.
Hmm.
And then he kept changing the deal. Now I'm giving Han to the bounty hunter. And Leia and Chewie, well, they'll stay with you, Lando. Unless you want to garrison here, you got to play ball. So he's stuck. Okay, they're going to let me keep Leia and Chewie. Then when he pulls them away in the carbonite chamber, he said, put the princess and the Wookiee on my ship. Right? He's like, I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. Because in the book, if you watch in the movie, you see Lando go like this. a lot. You ever pay
Hmm.
attention to that?
What is he
In the
doing?
book, they say Vader is squeezing his throat lightly with the Force
Oh, to like make him do what he wants him to do.
because Lando didn't want to do any of it. Han's his buddy. He didn't want any. He wanted Han to be fine. He wanted to fix the Falcon, hang out, catch up with his friend, get to know Leia. That's what he wanted. But Vader was like, he's like, not only that, and people have to realize there was something between 5 to 10 million or more people in Cloud City, and it was a free zone from the Empire, a
Hmm.
prosperous zone. Okay. So Lando had to protect not just the investment, but the people, all those children, all the seniors. He had to protect everybody and try to protect Han all at the same time. And not only that, he has to do a deal in such a way where the Empire will leave everybody alone and let them be in a free Empire zone where they don't interfere. Because
Hmm.
people have to realize, very much like you see in Andor, the Galactic Empire, they came through and they took people's resources, right? They took the
Yeah.
resources, they put people in slavery. Okay, Lando was trying to prevent all that. So when people are like, Lando was a traitor, he didn't have a choice. You got Vader choking on your throat, you got your people possibly going to be enslaved and your best friend being taken. What are you going to do? And he's like, I don't have the force. I can't stop Darth Vader. That's why as soon as Luke showed up and he got distracted, that's when the plan went in play. Now I can get everybody out of this. So that's when he was waiting. He's like, that's what Vader wants. Vader's focus is off of me and it's now on Luke. So Luke, he went to Cloud City, knowing he knew he was probably not going to come out on top. Luke knew that. But Luke knew that the one thing he could probably do is at least get his friends out of the situation. And that was the goal because that's what happened. They were able to get free, you know, and then go pick him up. That was the thing about it. Luke is a hero that has many flaws, many challenges, but pure heart, pure soul to do what's always right. Luke always does what is right. He's the type of hero and friend that never lets you down. He'll always be there and he'll always do it right. That's why those sequel movies are a bunch of hot garbage because Luke always did what was right. There's no way Luke Skywalker would walk away like that.
The well, Mark Hamill had a problem with those movies. He was trying to explain to them, like, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
this is not correct. What are you
Yes.
doing?"
Yep. He said that from day one. Like, what did I sign? You guys aren't being honest. This is not Luke Skywalker. This is a clone. Like he's not Luke. This is not Luke Skywalker. And he was right. It's not Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker is the hero that we all looked up to, that we could all count on. And he was the greatest, you know, young film hero that we had. And then those three movies, they destroyed him, which is really sad because I was very upset. Very, very upset. I almost threw my bottle of water at the movie screen, the last one they did, the third one, whatever it was. Because
Um,
it's Luke is he's it. He's my number one hero. He's everything that I looked up to and wanted to be. That's why I named my son Luke. Because I look at my son as the hope to do what is right. And that's why I named him Luke. I still have my original 1978 first Luke Skywalker figure to this day.
that's a dope.
I have that, and I have my Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker. I have my Empire Strikes Back Luke Skywalker, my original 78, 80, and 83. I still have.
Um, is Luke Skywalker is he clearly more powerful than Darth Vader?
Yeah,
Like by a lot.
yeah. He becomes more powerful, and in a lot of ways, in Jedi, he's kind of got more of an upper hand than Vader does.
Why is that?
Well, easy. So see, this is what people say. Oh, Anakin was the chosen one. He was the original story. He was very gifted, very talented, had a lot of potential. Okay, but Luke is originally and was always supposed to be the one. Code word, guys. New Hope. That's a dead giveaway because Luke
Dead giveaway.
Skywalker, dead
Dead
giveaway.
giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Luke surpassed Anakin in so many ways. People can go on about their love for Anakin all they want, okay? But here's the thing. Luke didn't turn to the dark side. Anakin did. When stuff got hard, Anakin was flustered and didn't know what to do, right? Luke never did. Luke stayed calm in the storm, figured out a way. And Anakin was around all these Jedis, right? He was around all this lone Jedi. Luke had Obi-Wan, who was gone very fast, and he had Yoda. And when he wasn't with them, most of the time he was by himself.
Training
So Luke,
himself.
yeah, Luke had to train himself. He had to take what he was learning, learn how to, and construct his own lightsaber by himself. He found some diagrams at Obi-Wan's place and had to take a gamble and see what he could figure out. And that's what I'm saying. Luke is so determined. I've never built a lightsaber before. I'm going to find out today. That's what Luke was all about. Luke was all about, making it happen, being that hero, staying away from the dark side, but who fell to it? His father did, who hunted down Jedi and wiped them from the galaxy. He did. That's the thing about it. Luke surpassed his father by a lot, and he really is that light, that Jedi. Because when you get into the expanded universe books that were written in the 90s, Luke's powers, I mean, they really get crazy where there's not much he can't do. When you fight Luke in combat, his mastery level of lightsaber combat, when it gets to its prime, it's like fighting 20 guys with a lightsaber coming at you.
At once?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So Did you see the scene from the Mandalorian where Luke comes to the ship and basically just takes out the entire ship by himself?
Yeah.
Is that scene is what the new movies should have been.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like checked all my boxes for me.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great.
Amazing. Did you know that was coming when you saw that? Did you know that was coming, or was it a surprise to you?
No, I think everyone was surprised because they didn't hype that up at all. You just knew that there's some Jedi somewhere that may come to get this Grogu character. That was it. And that could have been anything, right? So you don't know. And then all of a sudden you see this X-Wing show up.
I know.
And then you see the strike. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Red 5. Who's Red 5? Luke. So you see this X-Wing come, and then you see this cloaked figure in a green lightsaber, and you go, oh, wow. Okay. There he is. There he is.
I'm watching it right now. Like, here it comes. Here's the X-Wing.
Yeah.
It's coming around.
They planned it perfectly. They planned that so smooth. You had no idea watching that show that it was going to get to that point. And there he was.
So who is Grogu? Is he just a part of Yoda's race, or is he related to Yoda?
I guess I didn't really get into him that much. I was like, all right, yeah, okay, he's cute. I got you, but I guess he's just part of the race. He's force sensitive, and Luke's supposed to take him on as a student, and that was about it. Now, where the show kind of flip flopped, but you're fighting Kathleen Kennedy. What can you do? What should have happened, especially when they did Book of Boba Fett, which was not good. I thought what was supposed to happen was Luke was supposed to show up with Han, Leia, Lando, and Chewie, especially in that last battle scene where they were like, we need help, we need help. And I was like, oh, they've got to be coming, right? Like, they're going to show up. And then they don't show up. And I was like, that is the weirdest thing. Like, there's all these opportunities in these shows where, Han Solo's going to, Leia's going to show up, and they don't. And it was like, that was the biggest letdown. And, Kathleen Kennedy and her goon squad, were like trying everything not to bring in the original trilogy characters. But now since she's gone, you could see like now they're trying to, do all sorts of things and, stuff's trying to come out because she didn't want that to happen. And that's why George was so mad at her because she tricked him. He thought, okay, she's been executive producer for us for years. We should be able to trust her. She had her own agenda. As soon as that pen got signed, she had an agenda.
And flipped everything.
Yeah, she
What was
flipped
her
everything.
what was her agenda? Like why did she not want to embrace the legacy characters and because like when Finn the stormtrooper all of
Uh-huh.
a sudden knew how to use the force, like, and he was able to be a Jedi like with no training or anything, like what the hell was that?
Well, what happened was because Finn didn't have the Force, but he used the lightsaber, and they hinted that maybe he'll be the Jedi character. They gave that slot to Rey, and then they took his character back by the next movie. His character seemed like he was going to be. It was cool. It was like a stormtrooper that defected. I wrote a story about that. It was called "The Adventures of Ace Strata." I wrote it back in '93, and it was a stormtrooper that had defected and he became a Jedi and he became a hero of the rebellion and ended up working with Luke Skywalker in the bunch. And I wrote that back then. And then I found out a lot of my friends wrote a defected stormtrooper story. So when we saw that, we were like, oh, cool, they're going to have a defective stormtrooper, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, they're going to go somewhere with it. And then now he's nothing, right? He's into Rey. There is a romance. Now it's nothing, you know? And then by the third movie, I don't know what he's doing. He's nowhere doing anything. So they poorly wrote the films. They're new characters. They let them down really odd paths. They made Rey do everything. So now she owns the Falcon, and she owns Luke's X-wing, and she's wearing Luke Skywalker's X-wing helmet, and they're calling her Red 5, and she has Luke's lightsabers, and she has Leia's lightsabers. Does she have Han Solo's pants too? I mean, she's just give her everything. Like what?
Chewbacca's bulletproof or like bullet vest or whatever.
Oh, his bandolier?
His
Yeah.
bandolier.
It's like, okay, so the movie ends. So Lando and Chewie are going to take the Falcon, right? That's what you're thinking. She gets the Falcon. For what? That made no sense.
Just to make her an overpowered character.
It was stupid. And then they showed Wedge Antilles for 2 seconds because Dennis Lawson said they wouldn't work with my taping schedule. So what you guys see in that blink of an eye, that's what they allowed me to do. And he's like, that's what they did. I'm like, great. We waited for Wedge Antilles to show up. You put him in it for 2 seconds. All he says is, great piloting, Lando. And then he's gone. And I'm like, are we going to see more Wedge? I'm like, okay, so at the end of this movie, Chewie, Lando, Wedge, 3PO, R2 are all that's left. All the other characters are gone.
Wait, this is a movie that you're writing, or this is a movie that from the...
This is number 3. This is number 3 of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, but I thought that Han died in The Force Awakens.
He died in the first, the sequel trilogy in the first one. Leia and Luke die in the second one. And then...
Wait a minute. I never even saw the second one. They kill off Luke and Leia?
Same movie.
How does Luke die?
He does a astral projection of himself to face his nephew, Kylo Ren. And then he's like, yeah, kid. And he pulls out the lightsaber. He turns it on. Everybody's like, oh, he's going to fight. They shoot at it. It's an astral projection, so it doesn't do anything. He gives some speech, and he's like, yeah, kid. That's just how it is. And then he used all his life energy to do the astral projection from where he was. And they said, oh, all his life energy is gone. And he becomes one with the Force and dies and disappears into the Force, just like that.
What?
Yeah, it's that bad.
Why would Mark even agree to do that?
He didn't. See, what happened was they hyped up a script that sounded like yay when they signed. Then another script came out. And there's like, oh, you're contracted in. So everything Mark Hamill, that's why Mark Hamill would get mad. He'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, Kathleen. Can I talk now? Did you ever see those interviews?
No, I haven't. So he
Oh, I'll
was
send it to you.
so
I'll send it to you.
he's upset with her for the way that
Oh
she's
yeah.
running the.
So what happens is she shows up to his interview, right? And she's talking and she's all, Mark, they asked you a question. He's like, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, can I talk now? Kathleen, can I speak?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how bad it was. And he was like, do you know I did not have any screen time with me, Harrison, Carrie, Billy, Dennis, Peter. We all were not on screen one time interacting with each other. Not once. And Carrie's gone. Peter Mayhew's gone. Kenny Baker's gone.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? Like that was the biggest slap in the face. He's like, we didn't even get a chance to do that. It's like they sold us on an idea, we signed, and then they came up with something else. And then they played our characters out like whatever. And by the third movie, the backlash was so bad. So, Lando survived with Chewbacca, and which you did see of Wedge Antilles, and then 3PO and R2. And that's it. And it's just like, okay. So your core characters are gone. And the worst part was the end of that third terrible movie. Oh my gosh.
I never saw that either. What happened with that?
Ray goes back to Luke's moisture farm on Tatooine. She buries their lightsabers, and this old lady comes out and goes, "Who are your people?" And she's all like, in reference to, what's your last name? Who are you related to? And she goes, I'm Ray Skywalker. And everybody in the theater goes, ah, because it's like, you took Luke's X-Wing, his helmet, his lightsaber, you took Han Solo's Falcon and his pants, you took Leia's stuff, you got everything. Now you took Luke's moisture farm.
Yeah.
Now you're living there. So see, it was ridiculous. And she's apparently the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. Ooh, and he shows up.
Wait, Emperor
Technically,
Palpatine shows up?
and it's still Ian McDermott. Technically, he didn't really die. He's been on some life support thing on some planet, kicking it.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Yeah, he does all that stuff. And it's silly. It's real silly, you
Wait, and
know.
he does he try to turn her away or something or what?
Yeah, and that Kylo Ren kid, Han and Leia's shambled son.
Yeah.
So he like comes back to the light and he tries to help her fight Palpatine. Palpatine hits him with lightning one time for both of them, right? Like, bleh. They both get hit the same amount of times. She lives, he dies, becomes one with the Force before he even gets a chance to do anything.
So who the hell wrote this film like that?
Oh, J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson together, Wonder Twin Powers activate, and they made a mess.
Dude, Star Wars now, like the figures, the like it is a tarnished brand right now.
Yep.
I mean, it is like a lot of the figures are on clearance. They just like oversaturated everything, everything. They like they went down way too many rabbit holes, dude.
They did. Well, the funny thing about it is when they release original trilogy characters, they fly off the shelves. You know, when they put out those new characters from the sequel trilogies, they don't move. And I think they just stopped making them, after a while, because like nobody wants them. And I was like, well, that's a testament to what works.
Yeah.
You want a Kylo Ren or do you want a Return of the Jedi Han Solo? I'll take the Return of the Jedi Han Solo. That's what I want. I don't want Kylo Ren. And he was such a horrible. Gosh, I read the books. He's supposed to be a bad version of Jason Solo, Han's actual son. They actually have three kids. They have a twin boy and girl, Jason and Jana Solo. They were twins, and then Anakin Solo, which is the third kid. They all die except for Jaina. But Jason turns to the dark side, but his story is really deep into why that happened. And he becomes Darth Kaitis. And when he does, he literally rules that side of the galaxy. And he's like, he makes Kylo Ren look like a toddler. Like, I'm talking, he could shadow walk, cut through other dimensions, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Um, who, Do you think there's any way that they can bring the franchise back from the edge of like, I mean, literally, they would
Mhm.
almost have to reboot it, or they would have to do a direct sequel to Jedi, and you would have to just pretend like this other shit never happened.
That's the best thing they could do. Start with the expanded universe books, go right after Return of the Jedi, and you're gonna have to recast. You know,
Hmm.
obviously, um, no more Carrie Fisher. So I mean, you would have to you'd have to do it like that. But that's the best they could do, and make sure they're written really well. That's the best thing they could do to bring back Star Wars. Will they do it? Don't know, but that's the best thing they could do, and make it really, really something. Like really bring out their best A game for it. I would love to see that because here's my thing about those characters. Chris Claremont, if you know who he is, he's the guy that wrote the X-Men that made them great.
Yeah, I know that
Chris
he's the one
Claremont.
who took giant size X-Men in the 70s.
Yeah, there you go. Chris Claremont always brings this up every talk he has. He said, the magic of Star Wars is not the prequels, is not the sequels, but the original team. He said, I didn't give a care about Darth Vader's story. He said, I wanted more Luke, Han, Lando, Leia. They were great. He said, that's what made it. And he said, they stand the test of time every single time. He's
Yeah.
like, those characters need to be treated like comic book characters. Don't allow them to age. I mean, you could tell different stories where they're older, but the main focus, much like Spider Man or Captain America, is to
Hmm.
keep them youthful and around because
Yeah.
they're that important. You know, they are. And that was the thing about it is like they have to always be around.
They could
They
have went
they fit.
on they could have went on many adventures and many different planets and many different problems they could have solved
Oh yeah.
together and like battles and stuff. Yeah, Star Wars was like such a film heavy franchise like
Yeah.
that everything was based around the movies. So like the other media things like the comics, the cartoons, the TV shows and stuff, even the Christmas special that they hid, can't even watch that now.
I have it. I do have it.
You do how do you have that?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know?
I would like to know. You
Wouldn't you
want to
like
tell hey, you want to tell me where you got that VHS. Drew,
Well,
Drew.
people transfer.
Yeah.
People
Force
transfer.
choke, force choke through live.
People transfer. They've been transferring. That's how I have the original films in original format.
I, listen, dude. Like when they did that shit with when George Lucas is like, "Well, I think I'm gonna reimagine these films and add more stuff." Dude, so cool that we got to see those movies in the theater in the '90s. That was awesome. But he didn't need to do that. They could have just re-released
Yeah.
the original films, dude. Like,
Yeah.
was it necessary to have an extended like cabaret scene where the aliens singing for
No.
Java and like did we
No.
need did we need to see instead of like 100 stormtroopers 1,000? It's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What was your take on that? Did you?
I was devastated because it wasn't the fact that they did that. Because here's my thing. Okay, they did it. I can't stand it. It's atrocious. It's a bad move. But do we have access to the original films
Mhm.
the way they are? Okay, go do your weird stuff, George, but do we get to keep those original films? The problem was he was all, nope, I'm making you guys just have this version. You can never get those versions again. When they did the THX remastered of the originals, he said that is the last time he's going to put those films out in original format.
Yeah,
That
dude.
was it.
I sent you 3 VHS of the original. Remember you bought them from me because I
Yeah.
found them at a thrift store.
That was my greatest birthday gift I ever got, and I finally got it replaced, and I owe you for life.
Oh no, you owe me nothing, dude. We're gonna send you those Bruce Lee tapes too. But like I do remember like trying to find the only way you're gonna find them is at a thrift store, dude. That's like pretty much the only or a garage sale. That's a
Yeah, I
tragedy.
mean, he's so stubborn that he didn't even give them to the Library of Congress. The Library of Congress said we want the originals. He brought in the special editions. They said
Hold
we don't want the special editions,
hold
so they're not
on.
in there.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold the fuck on. Why is he so stubborn about that? He likes those better than the original?
He
To
said he
this
never
day?
liked how they turned out. Yes. He fought for that. Everyone and their mom told him he was wrong and we don't want
What?
him. Everyone told him that. And
I
he's just, oh, I think it's great. I think it's great. And it's just like nobody likes it, George, just like nobody liked Jar Jar Binks except for you.
it's
Like, what is
it
wrong with you?
it reminds me of Stallone during the pandemic recently went back and he like recut Rocky 4.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with that?
Yep,
He
I
like
saw it.
it was horrible. Like it the recut,
Mhm.
it didn't make sense. Like it was weird. It was like I watched it one time. It's like revisionist history. He probably had these ideas that he wanted to do at the time that he never got to do, so he like went back. But it's like when you do that, you screw with what made the original special.
True.
I mean, I don't
But
know, man. Oh, go
here's
ahead.
the thing about Stallone. He did that, but guess what? You can still buy the original version. You can get either one.
Okay, you're right. You are right. And also, I know I know that Stallone wanted to go back and make the Apollo and Ivan fight more of a fight because in the actual cut, like the 85 release, it's a bloodbath. Like Apollo's just
Yeah.
getting murdered.
Yeah.
And I have something I want to talk about with that too. So he wanted to go back and like make it more of a fight, and then he like wanted to like take out some of the propaganda. I think because it was like very much like I don't know how you trim that out because that whole movie is.
With the anti-Russian thing,
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It was really. I'll tell you what was the most interesting thing about him doing that. I liked watching the documentary while he cut it. I like watching him, his thought process and stuff. That was really interesting. I think Stallone's a really interesting guy. I think he's a
Oh yeah.
really. I think he's a really like. I think he's a really sensitive guy. I think he's a really smart guy. I think he leads with his heart, which is really good. I think Stallone's a good man. I really do. I'm not just saying that. I think that he's a good dude. Um Now what was I gonna say? We were talking about Rocky and I said I wanted to talk about something. Oh, I
You
got it.
jumped in the
I got it. I found it. The Apollo Creed thing. Now, Apollo had been retired at this point when he's gonna do the exhibition with Drago. Okay.
yes,
For like God, what he was retired from like Rocky 2, I guess, when he lost the split. I guess 79 to 85, so probably retired 5 years. Before that, Apollo Creed was undefeated. He
yes,
lost one fight to
yes,
Rocky by a second. Okay,
yep,
and when I say second, I'm talking a second. Like
yeah,
Rocky's not even actually standing. To be honest with you, he's on the top rope. Like I don't know if that's a win. To be honest with you, but Apollo's record's like what 40-1. He was the
hmm
undisputed champion forever. So he fights Drago, and I understand he's older, but I just don't see how I don't see how Drago could murder him in that fight. I mean, what's your take on that? That doesn't make sense to me.
Um, I didn't like the fact that they killed Apollo, which I know Stallone regretted because I guess maybe he thought the film franchise was kind of be done. Maybe he felt he had to end it. He felt at that time, but I didn't like the fact that they did that to Apollo because like Apollo and Rocky are kind of the team, you know.
Hmm.
And I thought what they had was really unique and special. And when that happened, it was like, ooh, okay, well, man, like I don't think Apollo should have. I don't think he should have died. I think he could have fought Drago, and maybe it didn't go so good, and then
Hmm.
he's hurt, and then Rocky does his thing. I think maybe I would have liked that better.
Yeah,
You know?
but
Mm,
realistically though, Apollo was the greatest fighter in the world
Yep.
for a very long time. And
Yeah.
he was a defensive fighter. He was a classic. He was almost like Muhammad Ali. I mean, do you honestly think that that's? I know it's a movie. We're debating if a movie fight, but I just don't see how a guy of that stature of a boxer could just get murdered by somebody.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing about it, maybe, I heard some people say, well, we have to look at about it like when Muhammad Ali got older, and he had lost, his ability to be who he once was, when he was fighting Larry Holmes and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and he was losing all of his fights, that's what really gave him Parkinson's, was that he stayed in the game too long. He should have retired
Hmm.
a long time ago, but he didn't. And I think it jacked up his health, you know. And that's the thing about it, was like Muhammad Ali should have retired. Now, when Larry Holmes did that to him, next to Larry Holmes had to fight was Mike Tyson,
And Mike
and
Tyson made him pay.
killed him. Well, you remember Muhammad Ali went to him and talked to him and said, "Get him for me." And Tyson let him know, let Larry know, I'm gonna get you for what you did to Muhammad Ali. And he unleashed on him like no other. He
um,
beat him
what's your
senseless.
what's your opinion about Mike? Do you think that had he have like kept his head on straight and like maybe stuck with Kevin Rooney
So,
or like
and Customato,
Well, Cuss died.
right?
But if he stuck with Kevin Rooney at least, or even Teddy
And
Atlas,
Teddy Atlas. Hmm.
I mean, do you think that he could have? Because when he lost to Buster Douglas, his trainers were just guys that he knew. They weren't even really trainers. Like when his eye was completely fucked up against Buster Douglas, they didn't have a cold compress to put the swelling down. Like you know how they have cold packs and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Dude, they filled up a surgical glove with cold water, and they were trying to keep the swelling down that way. Like they didn't even know what they were doing. And also, Buster Douglas, like realistically, um, he might have already been knocked out earlier in that fight by Tyson because it was a really short. It was like a slow count.
yeah,
Do you remember that?
I do.
Um,
Yeah, Buster Douglas. Like I think if Mike had had the right people around him, if he had stayed away from what's his name? Shoot, what's his name?
Don King.
There you go. If he had stayed away from Don King screwed over every professional fighter he came across. We all knew that. That's how Muhammad Ali ended that Larry Holmes thing to begin with. I blame him for the Parkinson's partially because he kept pushing Muhammad to do, you know. And my great aunt, she knew, she knew Don King before he was a boxing promoter. He was a hardcore criminal that killed people. She saw him do crazy stuff.
Don King killed people.
Yeah,
He killed people. Um, uh, Only in America. Don King probably what he had the ability to get these big fights with all this big, massive promotional stuff. Don King was in bed with Joe Jackson
yeah.
for the Jackson's Victory
That
Tour.
victory tour. That's how that tour got jacked up,
Yeah,
because you put Don King and then you put Joe Jackson together, which is a bad mix, and it screwed everything over.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
could
yeah.
have been the biggest tour done right ever, but they
My,
put the wrong people together.
well, and Michael didn't even want to do that. Michael. Michael was constantly in a position to like, well, your brothers need your help. Your
Yeah,
brothers need your help. It's like, okay, I love my brothers. I love them, but I have to do some stuff on my own.
yeah,
Like he was constantly put in that position, dude.
yeah.
Um, it's got to be tough to be the golden goose. I'm not seriously. That's got to be a
Yep.
hard road to hoe
Oh yeah.
because everybody would always want something from you.
Yeah.
How hard would it be to just like, hey, I just kind of want to hang out with Marlon tonight. I want to watch some movies in my theater, make some popcorn, just like hang out. I doubt he hardly ever got to do that.
Oh, for sure, because they were always trying to rope him into stuff, especially your favorite Jackson, Jermaine Jackson, was always trying to rope him into
My
everything. That
favorite,
dude wanted to,
your favorite.
That dude wanted to be in everything. That's the
Your
guy that wanted to be the center right there.
his kid.
Everything.
Did you know he named his kid Your Majesty?
Yeah. Yeah, Your Majesty. I do know about that. I said, what?
It's the weirdest thing that I. The thing with. Well, I want to get back. Let's get back to Mike Tyson real quick. We can come back to Mike Jackson. The three great Mikes: Jordan, Tyson, Jackson.
Yeah.
Tyson. So Tyson, he stays with Rooney. Cuss passes away. Maybe he's even with Teddy Atlas. Does he go down as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time? Does he lose to Evander? Does he lose to Lennox? Like what happens if he
I
keeps
think he
his
would have beat
discipline?
all those guys. I think Mike. I just saw Mike training today on a video, and he was killing it. And that's what told me like being around the right people, the right training regimen, diet, workouts, mindset. He'd have killed Evander Holyfield. He'd have killed Lennox Lewis. Yeah, he'd have killed those guys. He would have killed Buster Douglas. You know, it's just he was in the wrong atmosphere. He'd have killed. He would have mowed over those guys in a second. We all knew that. But being around the wrong things sends you down the wrong way, and that's what happened. You know, that's why like when you do things like being around the right type of atmosphere means a lot. You know, it does.
Yeah,
It really,
you
really does.
are you are who you hang out with.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
you are, and
Yeah.
it made a big difference for Mike. Huge difference.
He just like when he in his first initial run as the heavyweight champion, the Dynamite Kid or Kid Dynamite, he just like it wasn't just power.
Yeah.
It was like you couldn't hit him.
Yep.
Like he would almost his body. So say this is my hand. This is his body. Okay. He would like go. He would be parallel to the ground with his torso. You
Yeah.
couldn't. You couldn't get him. It was there's videos that I've watched highlights of him. It's not even him punching anybody. It's just him escaping, making people look stupid.
Yeah.
Um, he didn't do that in his later career. Less
No.
movement, more head hunting. He was like head hunting the whole time.
I'll
Um,
tell you who my favorite was that he fought was Mitch Green.
Mitch Green was the gang member.
Mitch Green was hilarious.
Wasn't he the gang member?
Yeah, with
He
the
said he
Jerry
was gonna,
curl.
said he was going to kill Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Did you hear about that street fight they got into?
No, I'd heard about it, but what happened?
Oh shoot, man. They were at Dapper Dan's. That was the place everyone would go to get custom fitted clothes and everything. And he was there. And he was still mad about that fight. And he said he came at him and talked crazy to him. He called him every name in the book.
Oh, to
And he
Mike?
was like, no, Mitch Green did. Mitch
Mitch
Green was
Green
like,
came in and started talking to Mike like that.
yeah. He was like, what are you doing in my hood? And he was like, you're this, you're that, you're that. He's like, I hate your mom, like everything. And he was just like, oh man, he's like, and then he looked like he was gonna try to rip my pocket to make my money fall out. And Mike was like, I had to go outside because he was a disrespectful guy. He really took it to that place. And he's like, yeah. Then we were out there street fighting, and he said I kept hitting him, and he was on angel dust. So he was like Jason in Friday the 13th. He's like, I knocked him, and he's like, get back up, like, ooh,
What
he
the
couldn't
hell?
stop him. He's like, ooh. And so he said, like, he ripped his side mirror for his car. He like came over, he ripped it off, and he was like, "Oh, dang it," because it was one of his favorite cars. And he was like, "Excuse me," and he like got out of the car, and he's like, "Yeah." So then after that, he's like, I grabbed him real close by his head, and I went, "Bah!" And I hit him so hard. When he hit the ground, his head bounced off the concrete. I thought I killed him. So he said, "Yeah, we drove off," and then you see the picture of Mitch Green. Half of his face is all
Oh, and he said,
like a
and then
garbage pail kid.
Mitch Green's like, and then like a bitch, he ran. Is that what he
Yeah,
said?
yeah,
Something like that? Yeah.
yeah. He's like, well, he thought he killed you. Mitch
He-
Green was a character.
Mitch Green was like the knight on they it is but a flesh wound, and they like take his arm off. He's hopping around. You know what I'm talking about? The Black Knight
Oh yeah.
from Monty Python's.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's Mitch Green. He's like his legs are off, his arms are off. He's still talking shit.
Yeah, that's Mitch. That was him. And Mike, Mike let him have it, and it didn't go so good for him.
Um, who's your favorite heavyweight boxer ever?
George Foreman.
Yeah, mine too.
I like
And I,
George.
and George Foreman wrote me personally on Twitter maybe 4 to 5 times. I have some of them saved.
What?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll send you some of the screenshots. I
Cool.
would ask him questions. I'd be like, "Hey, champ." I always called him champ. I'd say, "Hey, champ, what did you do for your road work?" Or, "Hey, what was your diet like?" Or what? Like, I would ask him questions like that because George Foreman, toward the end of his life, he was really interactive on Twitter. Like, I think he would just get on Twitter and just start. It's almost like he knew he was going to pass or something. It was. I even had the thought, I'm like, man, he is really interactive. He's an older guy. I wonder if he like knows something that we don't know. And then when he passed, it was like I was really
Yeah,
shocked. Yeah.
I was too. I like George a lot. When I do my box training regimen in my workout, I do his famous body shots that he was known for. How he would take his arm all the way back and
Yes.
hit you.
Yes.
Yeah, he hits you low. So I do that. It's the last thing I do on my last bit of workout is I do about a good 20 of those.
He I've never seen anybody in my entire life ever punish a heavy bag like he could. Like he would get the heavy that not the speed bag.
Yeah.
The heavy bag.
Yes.
He'd get the heavy bag going. He'd be hitting straight on with I don't know, it was like a jab or like a whatever. He'd get going and then he'd start hitting that son of a bitch and the heavy bag would lift up in the air and he would
Yeah.
keep it in the air from power punches in a workout. Like it was a speed bag or something.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like he his story is so interesting. Like literally a mugger, a robber. He
Yeah.
physically assaulted people constantly. Terrible kid, angry, doing crazy stuff. He goes to Job Corps in Oregon. He goes to Grants Pass, Oregon. Meets Doc Brodus, who becomes his trainer. He goes on to win the Olympics. He goes on to win the heavyweight championship. He like literally killed Joe Fisher. He demolished. It was the craziest fight maybe ever. Um, because jo- George Foreman, like Joe Frazier had just beaten Ali,
Yeah.
and like so Joe Frazier was like unstoppable. Like he's the heavyweight champ. He just beat Ali. Ali just came out of retirement because he refused to go to the Vietnam War.
Right.
Or then Foreman, this young kid that nobody thought had a chance against Frazier, destroys him. Frazier, long story short, Foreman ends up losing the belt back to Ali, the Rumble in the Jungle.
Yes.
Some people say Ali may have put stuff on his gloves to like kind of blind George or whatever. I have no idea. But George retired for like 20 years or maybe almost 20 years. He came back out of retirement at like
Yeah.
38 and ended up
Yeah.
winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And in his second career, he never got knocked down one time.
Yeah.
They couldn't even take him off his feet when he was like in his 40s. He's and he was a pastor. He was a reverend. He was saved. He was like absolutely like. Do you think that God had something to do with that second comeback?
You know, anything's possible at that point. It was definitely a trip, when he hit him and dropped him. I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Well,
But God's always in the plan.
Michael Moore had beaten Holyfield, and Foreman shows up and just 1-2 right on the button, dude. Just dropped his ass. It's incredible.
Oh, wow.
Um, you got anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Yeah, I was gonna show you. I do have the Star Wars Christmas special on
Oh, do you?
DVD. Yeah, I've got it on DVD. Let me see.
How much did you pay for that?
Maybe like $15 or something like that.
That's cool. Is it as bad
Yeah.
as they say it is?
Yes, and
Is it?
more. Shannon wanted to see it, and I was like, "Be careful what she asked for." And she watched it. She's like, "I will never watch that again." I was
Why is
like,
it so bad?
"It is like so bad." It's like, okay, so imagine like a Star Wars variety show,
Okay.
like they used to have back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, but a weird variety show, like where you have strange characters that sing random songs and weird people just walking around doing the most random things on top of three Wookiees that just speak Wookiee for the first 10 minutes. You have no idea what they're saying. And Harrison Ford looking like he's not having a good time. And Mark Hamill with more makeup on his face than a Barbie doll. Carrie Fisher bursting into song at the end. And Chewbacca wearing a red robe for Life Day. There you go.
Did George Lucas have something to do with that?
He did. He did, but he like denies it like now because it was so bad. But yeah, he did.
What did you like the movie American Graffiti?
Yeah, it was cool.
I think it's a good movie. Yeah, it's a good movie. I actually was really surprised that he was the one who made that film, to be honest with you. But
That's what got him Star Wars.
I think it is, yeah, because it showed he
Yeah.
could make a movie.
The
George
People
Lucas said,
versus George Lucas. This is the one that talks about the Library of Congress. This talks about all his inconsistencies, his love for Jar Jar Binks, all the documentation. It's all
"Why
in there.
does what does he say about Jar Jar Binks?
He just thinks he's the best Star Wars character of all time.
What?
Yeah, he
You
didn't
got to
know
be
that.
kidding! Stop! You
Oh,
don't. He for real? Why?
he just does.
That doesn't make sense.
He
Better
wrote
than
him. He made him. He
what?
wrote him and made him. He
Okay.
he, he wrote him and made him.
Who
Yeah.
do you think? Who do you think? Okay, let's talk a little wrestling for a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, I wanted to talk about the Ultimate Warrior with you a little more.
Okay.
People always talk about, oh, he was so limited in the ring, or he like
Uh-huh.
he didn't have a really good move set. He wasn't a technical wrestler, and they always go back to that. But I've always thought like, how what are you really expecting from him? Like his whole presentation was to come into the ring, explode like he came out of a cannon, like shake the ropes, be powerful, dominant. He had the move set for that character. I don't think he necessarily could have been putting on 60-minute Broadways like ever at any point. Do you think people just talk smack because maybe he could have been a little safer, not so snug?
I think he was real difficult to work with. That was the problem.
Like just kind of like a jerk in real life?
Yeah, he was hard to work with. I mean, he snapped on people's kids. Undertaker talked about that.
The kid in
He
the
was like at
airport.
the airport and like this kid came over and was like, "Are you the Ultimate Warrior? Get away from me!" And Undertaker's like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
like let's not do that." And then there was one kid he snapped on that ended up being some head executive's kid at like NBC or something.
Oh
And
boy.
so like Vince had to like make him do like a special apology and be like, "Hey, I got to take care of this." And he's like, "All right." And he's like, "Oh man, I just don't." He's like, "No, we have to take care of this. Like, cause you stepped over that bound." The distrucity. He's really done some jacked up stuff. Like when you watch his Andy biography,
Hmm.
They get into all that stuff, and they have video footage of him when he was like, getting into politics and different things like that, and how he treated people like, yeah, it was kind of a trip. Like, he wasn't too friendly in a lot of ways.
How
Um,
how was he gonna ever like as a main character in the WWF? How was he? He never lost. So like in order to build drama and like try to have a chase for the title again and all that stuff, he never really had that. Like, how are you going to do that if you're constantly dominating? Like, you know what I mean? Even Hogan would have situations where like it looked like he'd never be able to come back from it.
yeah, it was kind of one of those things where he didn't want to he just didn't want to lose, you know? Like, his whole thing was like built on him like not losing. And like he just wanted to like always like win. And when they talked about him in the documentary, like they talked about how he went to his high school reunion and how he wanted to be the center of attention. He was going to let everybody know what's up. That's Warrior. Warrior just wanted to be center. And the thing about him and Hogan, they're very similar in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
You know, that's the thing about it. They're very similar. The difference is like Warrior did not go out of his way to screw people out of deals. That's one thing he didn't do. He might
He
have
just
wanted
tried
to
to
be the
take
guy and do all that stuff, but like Hogan actually screwed people out of deals.
like Hogan. Like the worst thing that ever. I mean, in WWF, he didn't really have that much swing. He did, but he didn't.
Right.
WCW was like when things got really out of hand, man. He was single-handedly screwing people out of matches, out of title runs, out of you name it.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, why though? What does Scott Steiner having a match with Booker T or Goldberg have anything to do with Hulk Hogan?
Because Hogan wants to be the center of attention. He wants to be the guy.
But he's at that point he wasn't. He
He doesn't
wasn't
want to
though.
share. You have to think about that. He doesn't want to share.
That's ridiculous, dude. He
Look at what
couldn't.
he did to Sting. Sting always to this day never spoke negative about Hogan. Have you ever heard him speak negative
Sting doesn't talk negatively about anybody
about anybody? But look at what Hogan did to Sting. Starcade, that was Sting's moment, right?
because he's going over.
Well,
He's going to win the title against Hulk Hogan,
oh, he wasn't ready. Bischoff, oh, Sting wasn't ready. Of course he was ready. He's been waiting for a whole year. He's ready.
and Sting had also been a world champion multiple times before
That's
that.
correct. And beat Ric Flair, right? And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? You're making it sound like he's like some green kid. I was like, no. See, that's what I'm saying. He didn't want Sting to be put in a certain light. He didn't want Bret Hart to be in a certain light. You know, he didn't want Booker T to be put in because he doesn't want to share that spotlight. Some people are like that. That's just how some people are.
Do
They
you think
got
that
their
has?
hangups.
Do you think that has something to do with like his insecurities or something?
Probably.
I mean, it's got to. You don't act like that as a person without having some sort of deep seated security.
And that's the thing about it. I think that he did have that problem. That's why Macho was always mad at him because he would do stuff all the time. That was the thing.
Macho Man never got like a fair shake
No,
as
he
like
didn't.
he never got a fair shake as like except for when Hogan was filming No Holds Barred when Macho was the champ, and then because he won the WrestleMania 4 tournament, and
Right.
then Hogan came back and immediately took the title back and made him a heel. It was like totally unnecessary to do that. But I don't know, man. Like Hogan never put him over cleanly, not one time, ever.
Hogan's a jerk, buddy. That's what that's about. It's like people talk about the difference between Macho and Hogan. They were like, Macho didn't care about winning or losing. He was great to work with. You know, he did what he was supposed to do. You know, he might have had his strange ways about things, but he did what he was supposed to do, and people could usually work with him, and he was pretty fair all the way down.
Mm.
Like that was the difference. You know, Hogan, no, he wasn't. You know, that's how it was. You know, nothing Hogan did, even him and Andre, could not compare to what Macho and Ricky Steamboat did, and that's the
No,
truth.
at WrestleMania 3, that match was
Yeah,
like I,
yeah,
it- one one was a great wrestling match and the other one was a spectacle.
yep,
WrestleMania 3 is probably like the greatest WrestleMania of all time, but the Steamboat Macho match was like an actual like clinic, like on how
yep.
a professional, like how you have a professional wrestling match. The Hogan Andre match was like, let's put these two massive stars in the ring and just see what the hell happens. And that was really weird WrestleMania too, because it was like, why is Hogan going in as the champion and
Yep.
retaining at WrestleMania? That usually doesn't happen. So it's
It's
like,
that thing, man. You know, every time he screwed over the Iron Sheik. Iron Sheik made Hogan. How do you treat him?
oh, thanks, brother. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll help you out
Hogan
later.
was an idiot because I'm like, did you make the Sheik mad? He grapples you, dude. You're gonna get hurt. It's a done deal. That's why I
But
didn't get how Hogan could walk around like that with Bret, with Owen. I'm like, dude, do you know what Bret Hart would do to you in his heyday? Like,
so if Brett an actual legit shooter?
yes, he was an amateur. He had an amateur record when in junior high and high school, and he was really good. Like the guys he beat ended up going to the Olympics and getting gold. Like he beat. I'll have to send you the video where he talks about it. You know, Brett was and Owen was too. Owen was good
I
like
believe
that.
it.
So
I believe it.
those Hart kids, man, those two, like yeah, even like Davey Anvil, like you did not want to wrestle those guys for real because they were really tough. Davey was really good, especially at front face locks. You know, he was really good. Dynamite, really good. Anvil, super strong. People don't give Anvil enough credit. I mean, he was known as the Anvil because he was in that Anvil contest where he threw an anvil so far, you know, and then he was also an Olympic runner and shot put, and then he was a Raider and he was also a Dallas Cowboy. I'm like, yeah, those guys were thoroughbred kind of dudes. You know, that was the
Um,
thing. Stu was supposed to go to the Olympics, but he got called into World War II for the Navy. That's the reason why he didn't.
Stu was like, if you look at his physique back in the day, like guy was guy was jacked.
Yeah,
Like,
Stu was a grappler, like he was a catch as can wrestler, and he was very good, considered to be the best at it because he was so good. Him and Larry the Axe Henning were like the two most feared guys.
oh, I got a funny question for you. If like, remember when we were watching we were trying to watch the Bret Hart documentary, and
Yeah,
then Stu tried to grab Stone Cold.
yeah.
Do you think even at that age, like how old Stu was, do you think he could have been a match for Stone Cold?
If he got a hold of him, he was older, he was slower, but if he could actually get him, that yeah, he would
You
hurt him.
know, Stu was actually trying to grab him, right?
Mm-hmm.
What? But that doesn't make sense though, because I just like, what's Stu gonna do? Like on live TV, tap out Stone Cold?
Yeah,
That's so funny.
he liked putting guys in holds and making them crap on themselves. So I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
he was gonna do it at the Stampede.
Oh yeah, Stu was going to get him.
What do you think happened with? Do you blame Do you blame the Ultimate Warrior for what happened to Davey Boy Smith's back?
Mm, I don't know if I'd blame the Warrior. I blame whoever came up with that idea to have that ring come up the way that it did,
Stupid
because
ass
that
trap door.
yeah, because it got him and it got Rick Rude.
Both of them?
Sting was working with Rick Rude, and he, they, what was it? Sting flipped him over just like a normal thing, but he landed on that fold out door, and that's what jacked up his back and got him addicted to painkillers times two.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Dave,
Sting felt awful about that because he was just working the match, didn't think about the ground thing. But yeah, that open ring thing, yeah, it jacked a lot of people.
um,
Okay.
throw some stuff at me. Give me some questions. Run it back.
Sure, sure. Is Hogan your favorite wrestler?
Uh, growing up, yeah.
Okay.
But no. My favorite wrestler. Oh my god. He definitely grown up. I would say up until he showed his true colors. Like he really ruined it for me. Terry Bollea really ruined that for me. I hated him when he was Hollywood Hogan. By the way, I only followed him as in a like a baby face.
Hmm.
Um, I love The Rock. I absolutely love The Rock in high school. Um, I actually cheered for Hogan though at WrestleMania 18 when they wrestled.
Of course you did.
I would I would say my top five guys are probably like Hogan, Rock, Bret Hart, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior. Those are like my five.
No Kurt Hennig?
I mean, he's probably in the top 15. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, LOD, the Road Warriors, Ravishing Rick Rude, um, Stone Cold. I would have to sit down and look, but I like Booker T.
That's my dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Booker T. Yeah, I would have to like if I was gonna like write it down or something, but I was never a big fan of that NWO shit because it was just like every day on Nitro, every new Nitro was like, oh, we got a new member of the NWO, and it's like, dude, pretty soon there's not going to be a WCW to fight against. It's just going to be the NWO.
Oh yeah. Well, I agree.
What do you what do you what are you eating right now?
I'm eating some organic Greek peach yogurt.
Nice.
That's all I eat. I don't eat like when you look at my fridge, like my freezer. Look at this. See that?
Yeah,
It's nothing but pure beef protein, spinach, chicken breast. I have some sorbet for Shannon, and that's the only dessert I really eat is like because it's natural fruit.
yeah,
That's what you see. Look at my fridge. Look how much yogurt I
yep. Good for your
got.
stomach. Good for your gut.
It is. And then check this out. This is my workout protein. This is the Fruity Pebbles. Let's see.
Yep.
Yep. ISO 100. Best protein. Highly recommend getting that. It's good stuff. Yeah, it's like you just see like all my stuff. It's like protein powder. It's like dried fruit. It's rice and jasmine stem rice, vitamins. Like that's my whole thing, dude.
Yeah.
It's all I do and eat all the
What
time.
is the what is the prognosis for your like? What does the doctor say about your MS?
Second phase declination. So apparently I'm declining. How far, how deep, they don't know, but I could lose my mobility in quite a variety of different ways. Um, more brain fog, different things like that, lesions, problems, issues. I'm keeping it at bay pretty good, so they're glad about that. Um, Not overweight, I managed all that stuff out, because of the workouts I do and kept myself balanced out. But I mean, it's kind of a guessing game. Could go many ways. But
Hmm.
hopefully it stays where it needs to, and I can always kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to keep myself together, not overdo, trying to just keep, because once I get damage, I'm stuck with it. And whatever that damage does, long term or short term, that's just it. So I have to be careful with what I do because of that. That means I won't heal from it. Those hit, I'm stuck with it. So
Hmm.
that's kind of tough. So that's why I had to medically retire, because like I can't get hurt, I can't get hurt and my body's a mess. So I battle it every day. I couldn't go in and continue career and job and all that. Like when I don't know what each day brings, right?
Yeah.
Like who's going to work with that schedule? No one. You can't count on
Yeah.
me to do any of that. My
Yeah.
body's a mess. Today I'm moving around. The next day my legs aren't working. I can't get up. The next day, my arms aren't working, you know. Next day I've got crazy pain, stuff like that. So yeah, it is what it is. But it's all good. It's still a blessing. I mean, I'm grateful. I get to, kind of do different things and kind of move in my own direction. So I'm not rushing to somebody else's schedule.
Yeah.
I just get to do what needs to be done, what I need to, and then move through it at my own pace. So,
How was sleep for you?
oh, awful.
Really?
I sleep awful. Oh yeah, I
Like,
sleep awful.
do you use a CPAP machine or anything?
No, no, I don't snore. But I just my body's all messed up. I work nights for too long,
Mm.
so I think it, over a while, and then the MS in itself, and then
Does
it's like,
that
oh,
does that make you tired? Like sleepy?
hmm oh yeah. There's times where I'm working out, like let's say I do a night workout, I'm working out, I'll pass out. 3 hours later, I'll wake up like, oh, what happened? You know, that's kind
And
of
you'll
it.
and you'll be dreaming and stuff.
Yeah. Or I'll be so deep sleep, I think I'm living in the right reality, and then wake up and it's like, oh, it was a dream. That wasn't real. Yeah.
In your dreams, do you have MS?
Some of them. I think I've had it. Yeah.
I hate it when I have problems or I've got something I don't like on my mind and I go to sleep and you're trying to escape it and then
hmm
it's in your dream.
Yeah.
That is the worst, dude. You can't even escape in your dream.
That's right.
Fuck, that's crazy, dude.
It can be crazy like that, buddy.
I know. Um. So what? So do you what? Do you want to like? What do you want to talk about? You got anything?
I've always got lots of stuff. Have you seen X-Men 97 yet?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't. Um. Is it as good as the original run?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say there's some really good episodes in some way, some I didn't care for, but it's missing a lot of, there's things that are similar to the original show to some point, but some of the stuff, yeah, I probably would have done differently being an X-Men fan.
Is
So they made some decisions like, we're not, Wolverine's there, but we're not going to make sure he's a centerfold. We want to give it to somebody else. It's like, that's bogus because in the original show, everybody had their standout episodes.
mm-hmm.
And then they were just a team and they did things together. So they did that stuff, So like, why are you going to sideline them? You know, like that made no sense.
What
You
did they
know,
use? What did they do with Wolverine in that in '97?
Um, he's there, but like sometimes, like when they do stuff that I know Wolverine would have handled differently previously, they'll have him do like what was it? Um, oh yeah, they when they went to fight Madeline Pryor, they left him and Gambit behind. So like they selected a group of X-Men to go, but then the other X-Men didn't have anything to do, which didn't make sense because if you're gonna go fight her, you would want everybody on deck.
Hmm.
But yeah, they tried to kind of, oh, we made Wolverine too popular, so let's take him down a couple notches, you know. But yeah, it is what it is, buddy. What can I say?
Who's a better team? Like, who would win, the Avengers or the X-Men?
I'm always gonna give it to the X Men.
Over the Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Over Thor, who is literally the god of thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
The X Men's my team.
Yeah, but
All right.
that's not an answer.
X Men are my favorite, and they're the most complex story. You know, like the Avengers, their story isn't complex like the X Men. The X Men are like outcasted, you know, so they have to live their lives going through day to day, like kind of getting used to being, you know, kind of like that, which is crazy in concept, but it's true. They just kind of got put in a box. So yeah,
All right, I got a question for you.
yes,
Are you familiar with the Casey Anthony case?
a little bit.
She was like the mom who, like, her daughter went missing, and like she was good looking and young, and like she claimed she didn't know, like she said the nanny took her, and then she actually was like found not guilty even though she probably was guilty. Like,
Mm,
do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I do.
Do you think that she did it?
Probably, I say so.
She got, how could you live with yourself after doing that? And then like you just scot free, you're not in jail, nothing. Like, everybody thinks you're a murderer.
Yeah, some people
That
do.
would be.
It's like I told you about my youth group leader's wife. You know, stabbed him to death.
Did she go to jail?
Yeah, she's been in jail. She's trying to get out, get probation, and get out.
How long was she sentenced to?
Been close to life.
Close to life.
Hmm.
How's she gonna get out then?
They're always changing those prison rules all the time. I guess
That's
somewhere in
crazy.
there.
Mm. All right, man. Hey, let's wrap it up. This has been fun, dude. I'm gonna go lay down.
Okay, buddy.
All right. I appreciate you, Drew.
No, I appreciate you, Alex. Just have
All
fun.
right.
All right,
All right. I'll
buddy.
talk to you tomorrow, man.
Okay, cool.
Later, brother.
Later. Be good.